rank where the view is nothing less than phenomenal. For how I express and project from my abdominal. The only view better, both my daddy and my mama know. No living parents, my sons give me balance. My wife is my serenity, this mic is my identity. The world is foul enough, that's why I write without obscenities. Provoking danger with broken language and spoken anguish. Begging to get hurt, why would you ask to go through changes? Yes, Lord, life's a chessboard, master the angles. Control the tempo, be the one who holds the info. Acknowledge is just as deadly as machete swings. When spoken, the truth is as potent as that Medellin. While others swear the style is free, I just let it ring. Our time is undervalued, soldiers make us better kings. My family's on my shoulder, reaching after better things. Today I take the shot, for them I'd rather set the screen.
My mama told me follow my dreams. My daddy told me get it by any means. Stand tall, make him bow to a king. But I've evolved, you can see the result. Look in my eyes when you speaking to God.
Life and for those who we caught up in using what I was taught with the muse. I guess they call it proving I'm more than an artist. Penciling out my darkest while stenciling out a harvest. And storing what gets me from A to B, just like garages. Instrumental with collages. Envision what I've been drawing. Broadway to give you rhythm like the great Lena Horne. So bent on, found comfort in the storm. Find peace and on when you see them others perform. Organized chaos, I'll cast it like hey ya.
Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? I'm the #1 chief Rocket Knicks Universal main man, Uncle Freezie, and welcome to the Knicks at Night podcast. Y'all want this party started right? Y'all want this party started quickly, right? Okay. Ivory 10 is in the house. King Ribby is in the house. Core Mega is in the house. Let's go. Let's get this party started right. Man, it's a Friday night. I have a bunch of topics that I want to talk about, but I'm going to chill. I want to talk about something that IKBM Dre sent me earlier. It made me laugh. I might pull it up. You know what? I may pull it up. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna pull it up. Because it'll make y'all laugh too. Thank you to the instigator, which is IKBM Dre. I'm going to see if I can get this big enough for y'all to see them. Okay. And then I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this thing with y'all. James, what's good, man? Coach, what's good, man? Mr. Atkins is in the building. What's good? Not share video. I don't want to share a video. I want to share the screen. Come on, software. There you go. Window. All right. Be prepared to laugh. Can y'all see that? Is this too, let me see. I need to see if this is big enough for you guys. Can y'all see that? This is what ESPN thinks we are. Yes, I'm starting trouble on a Friday night. DSJ is in the building. Somebody check on Soulfinger, man. Make sure Soulfinger, all right. Somebody show I got some love. Anybody checked on Soulfinger? G-Man for life. Anybody checked on them lately? Anybody checked on J Boogie? Boulevard 73. Anybody checked on them? Anybody checked on Corey Lee? Man, check on the peoples, bro. Check on the peoples. But yeah, man, this is what ran across ESPN's screen. Can you believe what you are seeing? DSJ, what is this we're looking at, DSJ? The R&B sensation DSJ. Can y'all believe what y'all are looking at right now? Todd Bobby is in the building. Bro, I thought you worked 21 hours a day. Shout out to Todd Bobby, who knows what the... Hey, Todd Bobby, does this look familiar? Bobby, this look familiar? Sherwin is in the house. Yeah, I just got a text from him, man. That's hilarious. This right here is serious business. Look at the guard depth chart, right? Off the bench, the first two guards off the bench, Emmanuel Quickly, Dante DiVincenzo. Your starting guards are Brunson and Hart. Your first two guards off the bench are Quickly and DiVincenzo. So based on what ESPN says, Quentin Grimes is situational. Quentin Grimes is situational. And I know for some of us, this is exactly what we've been wanting, right? Not me. Not myself. Right? I'm in a place where I can't believe what I'm seeing. Is Ivory 10 a believer in this lineup? These are the type questions that I have. Like, what does Ivory 10 think about this lineup? Does Ivory 10 want a veteran-laden lineup that's going to make a push, make a serious playoff run? Or does Ivory 10 want to continue trying to play kids? Does DSJ want to play the veterans and forget about these kids? Are we in win now mode, DSJ? JJ is in the building. JJ, how we losing to the Baltimore Orioles, bro? I can't, for the life of me, I can't figure out sports right now. Sports right now has me with Arizona State joining the Big 12, bro. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with sports. I can't figure it out, right? I think the Yankees might have a winning record and they're in last place or something. How are you in last place with like a winning record? Or next to last and with a winning record? I can't figure out sports right now. And then on top of all of that, Todd Barbie's man is now situational. I don't know what's going on. Salute to Coach. Coach says, did Grimes beat the U.S. team today? Hey, JJ, Vientos, and Beatty, bro, they have holes in their bats, bro. Vientos and Beatty, they can hit fastballs, bro, but anything that's not a fast, they just can't adjust to it. Anything that has a bend in it has them off balance. Especially Vientos. And to think Pete Alonso was on the trade block so Vientos can play first base. So ESPN thinks that Quentin Grimes is situational. And ESPN also lists Evan Fournier on the forward depth chart as if Evan Fournier is going to get minutes. And Ivory 10, whose opinion I respect sometimes. Sometimes. I'm joking. Ivory 10 says, let's keep it real. There's only room for either RJ or IQ to take another step. And if they do, the Knicks are dangerous. But what if you're a Grimes fan? What does that mean for Quentin Grimes? And JJ says, hey man, it's about building on the Brunson timeline. My thing is this. Did I give Quentin Grimes a hard time? Yes. He deserved a hard time. He wasn't coming in the door as Klay Thompson. I knew he needed a couple years, maybe 2.5 years to get right. But man, you give him 2 years and 2 years is not enough. If 2 years is not enough, then why did we hold him out of the Donovan Mitchell trade? DSJ says, ESPN heard us talk about Quentin Grimes being a ham sandwich and ran with the narrative. DSJ, maybe he needs to change his number to 5. $5 foot Wong. Maybe Grimes need to change his number. Something. Anything. As I sit here on a Friday night thinking about, and listen, I was going to prepare some stuff, right? Nothing major, just some little stuff. It's Friday night. I want to throw some jabs at DSJ. I wanted to make this a thriller. But the man has me working day and night. I was working on something for DSJ, but here in the Mid-Atlantic area, Spectrum had internet out, so we couldn't do on Vibes and stuff. I couldn't do the conspiracy theory show, and I couldn't do any prep work so that I could make DSJ either laugh or beat it. So hey, what did DSJ say? DSJ said, I get that. It's just human nature. Right. I'm sorry, DSJ, that the last jab I threw at you was bad. Shaw Legacy is in the building. What's good, man? Jay Boogie in the building. Jay Boogie says he's going to change it to something because that number 6 is retired. Bim. Yeah. Jay Boogie, how you feel about Quentin Grimes now, man? ESPN got him like situational. And we've been having arguments all year, right? We've been having conversations all year about Grimes. Like, this is the year that he steps up. And ESPN comes out with a depth chart that has him situational. Hey, man. Shout out to HB Carlos. Shout out to Portugal. Portugal is in the building. Shout out to all my family in Portugal, man, that's watching and listening. Shout out to y'all. Oh, shout out to the PR. Shout out to Puerto Rico. Shout out to the Philippines rocking with us. Shout out to our loyal family in Portugal and the Philippines. And wherever you are around the world, make sure you cop that J Boogie. J Boogie got some stuff coming out. So if you're in Portugal, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, Canada, Brazil, South Carolina, you in the city, make sure you keep an eye out for that new J Boogie. Atmosphere Audio is in the building. So ESPN has me in this weird space. Because I know they know some stuff that we don't know. But at the same time, I also know that sometimes they stretch themselves a little thin. Right? So I'm on the fence. I'm trying to figure out if ESPN knows something, if ESPN has inside knowledge, or what up? I'm trying to figure out if ESPN knows something that we don't know, or are they stretched thin? Drip Moore's in the building. Oh boy. Oh boy. Look who in the building. The intellectual Dikembe Mutombo is in the building. The intellectual Dikembe Mutombo is in the building. Shout out, salute, respect. Shout out, salute, respect. We bow down to our man Woodshed 1914, who's in the building. Woodshed 1914 is in the building. You better not come to the hole with no weak takes because he going to get you out of here. Salute to Woodshed 1914. Yo, okay, look who in the building. All right. What's good, boss?
Gentlemen, shout out to the chat. Shout out Uncle Freezie. Shout out everybody. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm officially here to keep all any talk outside of the Knicks. I'm killing it. I'm here to keep it Knicks all night. That's what it's all about tonight.
The Knicks all night show.
That's right. That's right.
Them. So how you feeling about Grimes, brother?
Listen, I think I don't think we should be even talking about Grimes. Really, it's not. Grimes is not important. He's really not. He's fifth on the totem pole. Let's look at this let's look at this in reality, right? First of all, we know we have a stubborn coach who's not going to change his ways, right? So that means Brunson's going to go out there doing his thing. Randle's going to go out there doing his thing. And then he's going to initially go to RJ to kind of lead that bench, right? We're going to start off with, hopefully, we'll go back to the old school. We'll start off with Randle in the beginning, RJ in the middle, and Brunson closing. I think he's going to keep that like that. He'll mix in some quickly. Hopefully we'll jump in there. But our best chance, and Freezie, you've been getting me thinking about what our potential is. And I think our potential is as good as just about any team in the league. I think we do have two guys who could perform on any given night or on any given series, as well as any two other guys on any other team. So with that said, who is our third guy? Is that because when it comes to role players and et cetera, I think the only place we're coming up a little short is that third guy, because I think we have the bench. I think we have the role players. So I think we have more potential than people give us credit for.
Wow.
And I said a lot there, right?
No. I had a moment of clarity. Because here's the thing. Okay, so I'm staunch in my beliefs, right? I think about things a lot before I say them, even though it seems like I'm reactionary, right? For instance, the 60-win thing, when I mentioned that a couple of times this week. When I mentioned 60 wins, I didn't just say that because, I feel like we have a magic wand and it's about time for us to get the horseshoe and we'll find the unicorn and the leprechaun with the fourth. No, it's not that. I saw Tom Thibodeau with a similarly built team in Chicago, right? Take that team with Derrick Rose and a bunch of dudes and win 60 games in an Eastern Conference that's tougher than what the Eastern Conference is right now, right? And then when you look at the landscape of teams, either you are aspiring in the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference is something else. In the Eastern Conference, you're either aspiring to be a top 4 seed or you're rebuilding.
Okay,
bro.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, bro.
I hate talking about wins. I really hate talking about wins on the season. We are all about the postseason. We ain't gonna be happy until we really get to the postseason and see what happens. Anyway, we can't even really say we can't make any predictions about our team until the postseason, right? We don't even want to judge anybody till the postseason. My thing is about your original thought about Grimes. The reason why I don't even want to talk about him, or really not that I don't want to talk about him, is that I don't think we should focus on him, is because it's not fair. He's not going to get the opportunities. He's going to be in the same exact predicament he's been in. And my thing is, the only way to really get him involved is to really make him the pick man. You make him the pick man and let let Mitch stay right under the basket because they can't leave him if he's right under the basket. Right. So let Grimes be the pick man, and then if his man goes to double Brunson, then you got him handling the ball up top, and he could do a lot more than any other person on the team, I think, with the ball in his hands when it comes to like all the above: shooting, passing, and finishing at the basket. So I think that's a way to get him involved and maybe get him a bigger role. But in all honesty, I don't think he's going to have the opportunities. He's just not. And I think do
you need him to do all of that in order for the Knicks to win? So I want to tie these two together, right? The reason why I'm pointing out 60 wins and addressing the Grimes thing at the same time is there were a lot of games during the season where there were faux pas, like we dropped the ball. Right, last year and this year we're coming back in, and I'm going to get to the postseason, but I want to just explain a thing first. You know what I'm saying? I want to put one foot in front of the other, right? With the postseason, I don't know if we can speculate how successful we will be next spring, right? When we don't even know what the rotation and things will be like this fall. What we do know, though, is that the entire complement of players are coming back in similar roles, so they have the opportunity to develop synergy and chemistry and all those things that you need in order to get better and better over the course of time. Now, of course, Rose is gone, right? Cam Reddish is gone. But in our mind, OB is gone. In our minds, it looks like addition by subtraction as opposed to us looking to find something to patch a hole. Those guys are gone. C'est la vie. We're not missing them.
Freezie, I think you ought to stop running away from what you believe, which I think deep down, I think you believe we're a championship contender. Because if we can win 60 games, and I heard you talking to Queen about this, and I agree with her when she said, hey, if you can win 60 games, you are a championship contender.
Right.
And if you believe we're a 61 team, then I think you believe that. Maybe you don't want to say it just yet, but I'm going to say it. I think the Knicks can contend. We absolutely can. We can contend as currently constituted because we have a couple of guys who are capable of stepping up in that third man role. And then we still have the bench. We still will have a bench. Because if you consider RJ's if IQ's the guy that steps up, then you could still consider RJ. Do you know if RJ if RJ makes 0.4 more threes a game, he'll be shooting 38% from three and 44% from two. I'll take that.
Right.
I'll take it.
Okay.
All he's got to do is make not even a half of a three more a game.
But don't miss my point though. The thing you're saying about the third guy, I think with us though, we'll have a consistent third guy, which may not be the same guy every night, is what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is one night it may be Quickly, one night it may be RJ, one night it may be DiVincenzo, one night it might be Hart. Now, with that said, I know you mentioned the bench, right? You mentioned the bench. The only thing, though, is that the units that we throw out on the floor are always going to be some, except for starting and ending closing games. Everything in the middle is going to be some combination of starters and bench players together, right? Because basically with a 9-man rotation, even if you run 4 bench players, you're still going to have at least one starter on the floor with them to make your 5 that's out there on the floor. What I'm saying to you and to others, because I do feel like we're a championship contender, my thing is my moment of trepidation, the thing that stops me from jumping off the cliff without a parachute is we've never seen Tom Thibodeau take his team that wins 55, 60 games to that place on his own. So that's the reason why you hadn't heard me mention it. Now, all the other stuff, you're absolutely right. I didn't allude to it. I said it. I was straightforward with it.
I think you're right. I think that is our fatal flaw. And it's not necessarily, and I think it's a combination of things. It's really the Tibbs system, or is it really the players that the Knicks currently have that are running the Tibbs system, they really are not known and not doing a great job at making anyone else better, right? I mean, we were last in the league at assists, right? And maybe people will say, well, we can win that way. Look, we're winning that way. You saw what that offense looked like in the playoffs, right? And it looked, I think you even referred to it as elementary.
Yes, basic.
So
basic.
If that is the case, and that's what happens when you're not sharing the ball, maybe,
but that's not
right.
it though.
Maybe we're not a championship contender. But
but that's not it. That's not it though. Here's the reason why the offense was elementary and basic. When you have young players on the floor with a limited basketball IQ, there are only a certain amount of complexities you can add because these young guys are still learning. And then when you put 2 or 3 of the young guys on the floor at the same time, right? Now you're like, all 3 of these young guys are doing. Now the 2 veterans are like, wait, no, we ain't running nothing. Let me just go get this bucket right here. And so just real quick, I believe that's the reason why they added Josh Hart at the trade deadline. And I think that's the absolute reason they didn't bring in another young player to add to this mix, because internally they know they have so many young players that are on this path of trying to learn and develop that you can't have it be a kindergarten recess when you're trying to strive for a championship, because the whole direction of the organization changed once Jalen Brunson got here and proved that he is indeed the guy to pair with Randle, and that you can compete with any duo in the Eastern Conference. And then now, instead of those minutes that Deuce McBride would get, and you'd have McBride, Grimes, and Quickly on the floor trying to figure it out, Deuce McBride is not getting any minutes anymore. He's out. He's off the radar. DiVincenzo is gobbling up all those minutes that a veteran should have been playing. And now you have a veteran in DiVincenzo, a veteran in Hart, a veteran in RJ, a veteran in Brunson. And for that reason, ESPN lists Quentin Grimes as situational and added Fournier as somebody that may have an impact.
We can't address anything that ESPN does with any seriousness. We can't give them that credit because they don't deserve it. They don't know enough about Knicks basketball to really make those kinds of decisions or have those kinds of opinions. I won't even give them that credit. But what I will say is, I think it's less about IQ and more about capability and ability. You know, we just don't have guys capable of making other people better and distributing the ball in a way that makes people better. You know, we don't have a real true point guard even to this day. We don't have one. You know, we got a lot of guys who will share the ball if the right circumstance happens. You know, right. Julius Randle will throw you a fastball like you've never seen it before from 5 feet. I mean, you know, we have guys that will share the ball on occasion, but we're not very good at it. I don't think we have that skill really as a team. We don't really have that ability. I think it's less about necessarily IQ and more about ability, because I think when it comes to Randle, it is about IQ a little bit because he's got the ball a lot of times and we know he's a bad decision maker. So we wanted to get the ball out of his hands. We did that with Brunson, but now Brunson doesn't want to give it up at all. So I don't know how it works deep into playoffs with everybody just going and getting theirs. And, but I think if we were to find a way to share the rock and make each other better, I think we could be much, much better. I think we could be as good or better than just about every team in the league. I mean, there's a couple of elite teams out there, but I think we can compete. I think we can compete as
you notice there's a common thread that you mentioned, that Randle won't pass it, that Brunson won't pass it, and we know RJ won't pass it, right?
Well, Randle will pass it, but he might lose it before he passes. He might dribble too much before he passes it, or when he does pass, he might throw it too hard, but he will pass it, though. He's not a selfish guy. I don't think Randle's selfish. He's just not capable, right? He just doesn't have the ability,
I believe, bro, I'm going to say we were in, I think we were in Orlando. And so we were in Orlando, and we had bad seats or whatever, man. Orlando's arena is a dump, but that's neither here nor there. We watched Quentin Grimes hide behind defenders when Randle was looking for him. Randle's holding the ball, waiting for Grimes to get open, and there's no passing lane. And you know what people were saying when they saw Grimes behind the guy? You know what people were saying, right? Randle's holding the ball too long. Right? It's science, bro. It's science. If a guy is in between you and the passer, you can't throw the pass through another human being. And the small nuanced stuff like that, I'm telling you, I think that's the reason why the Knicks brought in two guys that plays Grimes' position.
Well,
right?
Well, here's what I'll say is I will say this about that ESPN thing. I will say that Hart did outplay Grimes towards the end of the year last year. He did. He outplayed him. He was more impactful during the game, and that's why he was in the game. In the most important 2 points of the game. That's why Hart was in the game and Grimes wasn't towards the end, and maybe that's why they say they put him ahead of Grimes right now. But I think if Hart is starting in front of Grimes, the Knicks are not. I would have to say that's a step in the wrong direction. I would.
Who would you rather have start?
I think I need to have Grimes in there. I gotta go with the guy that got me where we were last year. He played tough. He played there all year. I think Hart played 25 games. And we saw what he did when he got a healthy diet of minutes. He collapsed at the end there a little bit. When he got that healthy diet of minutes. And I'm not saying Grimes would have been great because Grimes wasn't playing that great either. He wasn't hitting shots.
Grimes was young though.
Right, exactly. So that's why I got to go back to Grimes first, especially because he defends his position well. So he's not hurting you there.
He's capable, yeah.
So you got to go back to him. I mean, this is the dude that you didn't want to give up in a big trade. So you got to go back to that guy. If you put that guy on the bench now. And listen, we know Tibbs is capable of doing that. We know Tibbs. I'll tell you what, he better not get hurt. If he gets hurt just a little bit and DiVincenzo comes in there and he starts putting up a couple of shots or Hart hits a couple of shots, anything could happen with that lineup. We know how Tibbs is. Tibbs is trying to win every game. Tibbs is trying to win
every game. And for that reason, why you just said, I think this team can win 60 games. For that right there that you just said, every game to Tom Thibodeau is a game 7, right? And in my mind, or at least it seems that way. Now, my thing about Grimes is I don't think he's a bad player. I just want to put emphasis on the fact that all young players need time to come into their own, right? This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Grimes is a bad player, right? I'm not saying that Grimes is a bad player. What I'm saying is while Grimes is learning how to play the position in the NBA, the Knicks are recalibrating their sights on something grander. When they drafted Grimes, at the time they drafted Grimes, they were like, hey, man, listen, we have to build up this roster. We have to add talent. We were in talent acquisition mode. By January of this year, with the ascension of Jalen Brunson, everything changed. Like, no, we're not in all in on talent acquisition mode. We feel like with the addition of Brunson that this team can win right now. That's not Grimes' fault, right? Grimes is a good player, and he's going to be an even better player.
Solid.
He just needs time to develop, just like Jalen Brunson needed time to develop, just like Julius Randle needed time to develop. Grimes needs time, right? But the unfortunate thing for him is the team is not really in this, doesn't have the appetite for on-the-job training when they need somebody to do the job at a high level.
Yeah, but Grimes can do the job at a high level. Let's keep it real about Grimes, though. He really can do it at a high level. And even though he didn't make some clutch baskets that we needed in the playoffs, he delivered when he was in there for the full year. If you look at his shooting numbers and his statistics, he hit the few shots he got. he hit him. So, listen, nobody shot well in the playoffs, so I'm not going to go there. But
he was hurt in the playoffs too. He had a shoulder injury in the playoffs.
Well, I'm just going to say nobody shot well in the playoffs, but he played a full year defending well, and he shot well enough. He's not the problem. Sure, if you're going to upgrade him, that's great. But who are we kidding? DiVincenzo and Hart are not an upgrade, enough of an upgrade over Grimes. They're just not. They're nice bench pieces that we have, and I think they'll come in handy and they play a big part. They'll be impactful. That's great. But throughout the full year, I think Grimes' contribution and his ability to hit that shot consistently is going to make him much more valuable than those dudes go long term. Much more valuable. But here nor there. Listen, he's got to perform too if he wants that spot. I'm not saying he has to start or that the Knicks owe it to him or anything like that. I just think for the Knicks' sake, I hope this dude can hold on to that spot because it's not going to look good. Young player after young player just moving away from the Knicks, it just seems. I know we're changing and things are changing when it comes to our makeup and our win now mentality, but we can't just keep pushing these young guys to the side like this. That's not going to go over well.
Is Grimes playing FIBA? Is Grimes playing FIBA basketball this summer?
Yes,
He's on the select team.
Okay.
He's working out with the actual team. And by any chance, if one of the guys bail out or a couple of them bail out, he might be in line. But there's Trey Murphy and a few other notably nice young players.
It's a long shot then.
Right. Yeah, it might be. Depends on who actually gets hurt and who fits. But salute, Freezie. Salute, Ivory.
salute. I say mess. I love it.
Yeah.
The New York Mets. Yeah.
That's exactly what we are right now. But
yeah.
To Ivory's point, I actually agree with Ivory in regards to what Grimes' value to what the team is individually. Like we saw what happened.
You don't have to agree with Ivory because Ivory is an intellect, man. You don't have to fear Ivory because he you know what I'm saying?
Nah, it ain't even that. I'm the smartest guy at all times, Freezie.
Yeah, that's right. I have to get a cue card. I have to write a card and keep reading it. Just remember that IKBM Trey is always the smartest. I have to remind myself.
It's shorter for I know basketball much more than everyone else.
Oh, that's right. Jeez, that's right.
But yeah, his point, I agree with it because we saw the difference in how we operated when we ran Josh Hart in the starting lineup over Grimes, because naturally Grimes is just a better spacer. And even if he isn't making his shot, his existence on the court forces the Heat to not always overshift and always bend and always trap as hard. Yeah. When Josh Hart is in the corner, they literally ignore him. I don't know if you noticed that, Freezie, but they ignore him regardless of context, regardless if it's a wide open catch and shoot. And from a basketball philosophy standpoint, how we play basketball, Grimes' skill set is more valued next to Brunson and Randle. Now, when we talk about every other lineup, when there's just Randle on the court and just Brunson, right. But when you have two high usage and at times three high usage players on the court that run a lot of individual play and isolation basketball, you need a guy that can be a dead-eye shooter.
Okay.
And I believe I saw a statistic, Freezie, not counting the playoffs, but since January, Grimes was shooting like 46% out of the right corner three and 40-something% out of the left corner three. And those are the things that you need. You need spot-up shooters when you're playing Brunson a ton of minutes, and you're playing Randle a ton of minutes, and you're playing RJ a ton of minutes. If anything, RJ might be the guy that might suffer the most in terms of minutes, because the skill set that Grimes has fits like a glove next to Brunson and next to Randle, whereas RJ, like, if RJ has his head on straight and he's being a good playmaker, he can make Brunson become even better off ball. But that's a big if, and you can't always expect that. What I do know, what I'm getting out of Grimes is elite point of attack defense.
Here's my hot take.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take, fellas. I think the Knicks go only as far as IQ and RJ take them next year. I know what I'm getting out of Brunson. I know what I'm getting out of Randle. We go only as far as IQ and RJ take us. I think it was true this year as well, and I think it's going to be true next year as well. If either of those guys stayed hot like they, it got hot in the playoffs, we would have been right there. We would have been right there. And
we damn near beat them dudes with Randle
right.
hobbled.
With no IQ, with RJ being sometimesy. And I know people knock RJ in that last game, but let me just tell you all, I don't think he deserves that knock. Sure, he didn't shoot so great, but did y'all see in the first half, he was keeping us in the game, going to the hole, going to the line. I mean, I think he had
he had 8 free throws in the first quarter, and after that, they just swallowed the
He was doing his thing, man. He was going.
And they went away from him. The Knicks went away from him, too. It's not just that. They tend to do that.
They went away from him and then kind of just made him a spot-up shooter when he didn't have his jumper that night.
Yeah.
I think IQ and RJ, I think those two guys, man, I think our future and our success lies in their hands if we don't make a trade and we hold on to what we have. It's not Grimes. Grimes is going to play his role and do a great job. He's not going to get the opportunities, so he's not going to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, because he's going to be the off. He's going to be the off-ball catch and shoot guy that plays defense.
Right. Unless he shocks the world, but we want.
That might be a Tibbs thing. If Tibbs decides to entrust him with more plays, let him run some pistol action. Let him be a creator for Brunson or Randle. And at times he's shown the ability, but it also seems like he's scared to death of making a mistake.
He is scared to death of making a mistake.
So he'll pick the ball up without hesitation. He'll pick the ball up, not keep a live dribble, and immediately look and turn to try to pass to Randle or Brunson.
Looking to pass first.
Right. I saw him do that in Charlotte. I saw him beat Terry Rozier. Was it? I saw because he was doing it all night against Charlotte, and it made us mad. I'm talking about the Charlotte game where Grimes tried to posterize like three people in 3 different instances. Like he tried to posterize one person 3 different times, and then after that he like lost. I think they fouled him, and then he was going to the rim. He jumped in the air and spent around and saw Mitch at the top of the key and almost threw a bullet through Mitchell Robinson's body, right? And you're like, first of all, bro, just because you go to the rim and try to dunk and you're not successful doesn't mean you should stop going to the rim and trying to dunk. Secondly, if Mitchell Robinson was able to catch that ball, what was he going to do with it?
Where was Mitchell Robinson in the paint with the ball? Like he was probably not even close enough to go up with a dunk because he doesn't have a hook.
No, Dre. I'm telling you, Mitchell Robinson was at the top of the key for 3.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's why when he did it, everybody stood up like, yo, what are you doing?
Grimes forgets he's a guard sometimes.
Why would you think about this? Even if I'm double teamed and I see Mitch at the top of the key wide open for 3, I'm making business decisions. Right? Because it cannot beat this double. Can I beat this double team? Either get a shot or pass to someone else, or do I pass this ball to Mitchell Robinson wide open at the top of the key for 3? What do you think is going to happen? What are our true outcomes? Right? If Mitch catches it, what's he going to do with it? What's the odds on Mitch not catching it, fumbling in it, and it becomes a live ball turnover headed back in the wrong direction? You feel me? Some of this stuff, man, Grimes has got to be more aggressive, man. Salute to Bronx Mel. Bronx Mel is in the building. If you're Grimes, it simply boils down to yo, what's good, boss man?
What's good, bro?
It's been a minute, man. How you doing?
Chilling.
Man, I thought
I had to come in. You guys took me out of retirement, man.
Oh man, I thought Javante Davis was backstage, bro. I ain't know.
I thought that was Jalen Brunson Jr. or something. What's happening over here? You know, what's going on?
Yeah, man.
Chilling. How you fellas doing?
Good.
What's up?
Hey, I think you got something going on.
little
You got a little
static.
crackling.
A little
Yeah.
static on your mic.
On my joint? All right, let me check. what's going on.
Yeah, man. It's just Grimes is going to be just fine. To be honest with you, I think because of what we need him to do and what we're going to ask him to do, I'm as least worried about him as anybody. Really, who I'm worried about is RJ and IQ. We can't afford those two not to show up. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. Those two are too valuable to what we are and what we got to do. I just believe Grimes is going to do Grimes and be Grimes. I think that's fine. He's already proven he could be that 3-and-D guy. That's all Tibbs is asking him to do. So what do we need? We need the guys that we're expecting to do more, like get other people involved and score and do this and do that, make threes. Those are IQ and RJ. Those two are so valuable to what our future is. I
think what you're saying is like we got a damn good high foot, like our floor is damn good.
Yeah.
But one of the two of those guys taking another leap will push our ceiling a lot higher.
Yeah.
Just from having a third.
Games, bro.
Yeah. Like for instance, if RJ becomes just a more efficient 17, 18 point per game guy, instead of him focusing on trying to get to 20 every night.
Right.
And he has some of the same decision making he had against the Heat in terms of I'm going to get into the paint, then I'll figure out what's the right move after instead of just throwing up whatever. That alone can add 4 to 5 points every night. And that can be the difference between winning 7 or 8 more games. Just off of the micro decision making. Like just 2 correct plays in terms of decision making, 2 more per game will change the entire outlook in terms of our winning percentages and how we might fare in the playoffs. It's just like when we talk about these things, we lost in game 6 by 1 bucket. 2 correct plays would alter what we would be saying about this team.
Right? The whole narrative would be different. If Josh Hart doesn't leave Caleb Martin open for 3, Josh Hart sees Caleb Martin at the top of the key and he goes to rebound instead of closing out on his man. If in that moment he goes to defend Caleb Martin and Martin misses, it's a 1-point game. Right. Instead, he went to the rebound, which that's his thing. He's a rebounder. I'm not knocking Josh Hart in this moment. What I'm saying is we all make choices, and we all make decisions. If you make a different decision, you might get a different outcome, right? But if Josh Hart closes out on a non-shooter and forces a turnover or a missed shot, the Knicks can get the basketball and go down and take the lead.
We played them tough, right? We did play them tough. But if you look at how we were playing versus how they were playing, the shots we were getting versus the shots they were getting, they outplayed us. We played tough, but they were better. And I think our fatal flaw wasn't necessarily one play, but the way we play.
Our process.
We're not a team that is out to like. When I look at, I don't want to mention all these good teams, but they pass the ball. They move the ball. They get open shots. They're talented. They can get their own shot, but they're talented and they move the ball to get easier shots.
Right.
We don't do any of that. We were one of the best teams with the worst assist ratio in the league. We were last in the league in assists last year. Last.
Right.
For a team that made it that far, and you kind of saw it at the end. You saw how we were playing at the end, and I don't think we deserve to advance. And
they're the bottom of the league in pace as well.
Right.
So I think what are we doing to address this major issue? We're last in the league at this major offensive category, which is more than just a normal category. I think it like we talked about. I heard you mention Freezie about the shooters on the team. I think we have a good enough shooters. I agree with you. I think we have enough good shooters on this team, but it's tough to make a shot when someone's right in your face and you got to take 3 dribbles, a step back to the left or to the right and try and make a 3. We don't have enough guys getting people open, distributing the ball, and making other people better. That's our fatal flaw. But I still believe we're very good, but that's our fatal flaw, in my opinion.
Right. And my thing is with that point of it not coming down to one play. The point that I'm emphasizing is not just one play. What I'm saying is when you string these series of one plays together, then you get these moments that we're talking about. Like for instance, we forget that even though Josh Hart was a veteran, this was his first year in the playoffs.
Oh, it was his first playoff.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we forget about the small. Mitchell Robinson has been in the league 5 years. This was his first time actually playing in the playoffs. So there are a lot of stuff. There are a lot of these one-off moments that you learn and get playoff experience. I'm not throwing Josh Hart under the bus. Notice I mentioned that he's a rebounder and he does what rebounders do. He went towards getting the rebound. If Caleb Martin would have missed that shot, Josh Hart may have gotten that rebound and we still would have gotten another outcome. Mm-hmm. Right? What I'm saying is in the playoffs, you can't leave anything to chance. Right? Because everybody in the playoffs deserves to be there. No team accidentally falls over backwards into the playoffs. You have to be good to make it. So you have to be not only a high effort guy, but you also have to be sharp mentally. You have to be thinking the game all the way through, making smart decisions, all of this stuff. Now, sometimes some of this stuff had something directly to do with those guys being exhausted because of injuries to guys. And I'm not using injuries as an excuse. What I'm saying is when one guy is injured, somebody else has to pick up the slack. It's the reason why you have 17 men on your roster. You know, you're 15 guys and you're 2 two-ways, right? When somebody gets hurt, somebody else has to pick up the slack.
But I think that's much harder to do when you don't have the type of offense that leads towards other people being able to get off in an easy way. You know, to be the guy that steps up in the Knicks offense, it means you got to be able to take over a game, so to speak, in a one-on-one kind of way. And I know we don't just go one-on-one, we run the pick and roll, but we wind up in a one-on-one situation most of the time with one guy or another. And if you can't do that, then you don't get the ball typically. We don't, you know, that's how we do it, you know, with this team. So, you know, if we don't, then that's precisely why a guy like, hold on just one second. Yeah. That's precisely why a guy like Fournier had no value here, because he couldn't take a few dribbles and get a shot off. But if we had a point guard, if we had someone that got him open shots, you know he's gonna knock him down. You know he's gonna knock him down.
It's also like one of the things where when you're going against like a tactician like Spoelstra, where he leaves no stone unturned. If you're looking at their role players compared to our role players, on paper, you wouldn't say their role players are better than ours.
No.
How they were utilized to their strengths and then their flaws were being mitigated, that also happened. That definitely happened. You saw all those misdirection plays where they're running rub screens with Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent to
open
defenses.
Open shot.
Like,
open shot.
Away from the ball where it had nothing to do with Jimmy Butler at all. And we still double teaming Jimmy Butler on a hobbled ankle.
Right.
It's one of those things where sometimes we outthink ourselves, and then sometimes we don't even think at all.
I think respectfully, we are overrating the bums on this team, bro. Like, respectfully. Because
who you call? Who's the bum? Who's the bums? Name them. You got to name them.
Listen, I could go through it. Because the thing is, let's start with RJ, right? Ooh. Like, I was the biggest RJ fan. If Freezie, who's known me for a while, I used to ride for RJ like crazy. But there's no excuses. How long are we gonna make excuses for the lack of talent that he's showing up? Those videos that he puts him in the worst in a worse light than anything. You're looking slow, bro. Like you. Then you look at Grimes videos and you see him moving fast in these scrimmages and whatnot. And it's not, and I give credit where it's due, because I also respect the fact that he showed up somewhat in the playoffs. And I don't even completely blame him for the last game like a lot of people do, like that game 6 against the Heat. But I will say that we have to make everyone accountable. Just like I made Brunson accountable for that last play at the end of the game. He turned that ball over. I love Brunson, but accountability goes from top to bottom. And if you're a starter on this team, you have to play above and beyond. There's no excuse for a player going into, you're not injured, like Randle had that excuse to go and say that, I was injured during the playoffs, but even he doesn't get no slack from me.
Okay. Listen, I
because I think there's a lot more to show.
Here's the thing about RJ, and I've been an RJ critic from the day he walked on the stage. I was never thrilled with that, just because he never excited me very much. I wanted to trade him for a long time. Anyway, here's the thing about RJ, though. Here's what I've come to learn about him, that I know people. Let me just from a numbers perspective. I mentioned this a moment ago. If RJ shoots, if he makes less than a half or more three a game, if he makes 4.4 more threes a game, he's shooting 37% from three and 44 from two, or 44 from the field. I'll take that from RJ. I'll take that. Here's what I know. He works so hard. He's mentally stable. I understand.
And you gotta give credit where it's due. I respect that.
He's 23, and here's the one thing. He has the one thing that 99% of these other guys in the league don't have. He will not stop coming at you.
Yeah, but if you're coming at the rim and missing, then it's pointless. You're more of a detriment than anything.
Right, but that also sounds a little bit like an exaggeration. Let's be honest. I mean, you call him a bum. I think that's a little bit extreme. I think you would agree that that's a little bit of an emotional way to describe him. Listen, he hasn't been great, but in the playoffs, you saw what a dude that refuses to say no. You saw a guy with a different mentality than everybody on the court. He separated himself out there. He did. And it's because he's got that mentality at the time at 22 years old. I'm telling you that RJ is going to be a solid pro. I don't think he's a star, but I think he's going to be a solid pro, and the guy that I'm telling you can be the difference maker in any given game, because he's not going to stop coming, especially when the game is over and it's garbage time. He's going to keep coming.
All right, and this is my whole thing. People defend RJ like is crazy because he was the third pick. But if it was any other player playing like he was, like he is, they would not hold him to that same standard. Like I'm looking at the comments, people talking about I'm crying, whatever. Let's talk the numbers. Like it's I'm not just putting things out there. I'm telling you what's there. First of all, talking about all I hear is crying, whatever. I'm not crying about anything. I'm just pointing out the facts. The facts are that he, for being here for as long as he has been here since we picked him, the only season where he went and he had that one wasn't even consistent because he got hot during the second half, was the second year that he played, his sophomore year. And we can argue that he regressed last year. During the playoffs, yes, he showed up, and I'm giving him credit. But I'm not gonna make excuses for that young man anymore. It's time to show up. You're here. It's time to show up.
I agree with that point. Like I can't do the slow starts no more.
Yeah, the slow start thing is
you gotta,
thing, bro.
Yeah, you can't show up in December 25th. You can't show up like a gift. Like, bro, you gotta come here in the middle of October,
right,
and give consistency. That's all you want. Like my expectations for RJ have been tempered. Like I'm not asking him to shoot 41% from three or shoot 52 from the field.
I am.
I mean, that's rough, Freezy. Like 50 and 40, that's elite territory. But I digress.
It's only elite for a jump shooter,
Yeah,
right? RJ Barrett is not a jump shooter mid-range guy. RJ Barrett is a take it to the rim, finish at the rim guy, or shoot the three when it's available guy.
yeah. And a lot of that is poor decision making, which alters his percentages. He'll go to the paint,
Right.
and he'll have the pass to the weak side, or he'll have a lob.
Right.
But some of his decision making, for better or worse, usually worse during the regular season, is to just throw the ball up. In the postseason, it felt like the game slowed down for him.
Right.
Regardless of if his jumper was going in or not, he was making sound decisions after the drive. He was making sound decisions with the ball in his hand.
I think it's part of that is
I
it
can
has
live
to.
with that.
I think, and just to follow up what you're saying, I think part of that has to do with the fact that in the playoffs the game slows down, and for a player that's not very fast, I think that came to his benefit. In the end, I'm not mad at RJ's playoff performance because he did have a good playoff series. So I'm not even talking about that. But we can't act like the regular season didn't exist. Like you got to get through the regular season to get to the playoffs. And Randle basically was, and Brunson basically got us there for the most part. And that's not to say there's not contributions from everyone else, because there's role players and there's players on this team for a reason, but they're the reasons we got there. And people like to pretend like none of that exists and just like, okay, the playoffs happened and this happened. Let's put everything into context.
I was gonna say if RJ was better during the regular season, the usage and the wear and tear on Randle and Brunson probably wouldn't be as high because they would have less of a workload to shoulder. Like, to be absolutely honest, both of them dudes,
they would be less leveraged.
yeah, like
Right.
they,
Because if everybody was contributing at a higher level, then it wouldn't be incumbent of Brunson to make every shot that he takes and all these clutch moments. I'm with you, Dre, on that.
and it's like both of those guys were top 10 and being double teamed for a reason. Part of it is philosophy, but some of it is lack of consistency from the other players around them. Some nights you'll get 20 out of RJ, and it takes a load off of Randle. It takes a load off of Brunson, even quickly. Everyone on the team, it really does take a load off of them where they don't feel like, okay, every little shot matters the most. Okay, the game is even more tighter, and now I'm being leveraged, and I have to go isolate to get this bucket to put us up 5. When this game should have been over 5 minutes ago, we should have been on the bench.
Right.
It's the wear and tear that these guys are going through, and part of that has to do with the inconsistencies of a RJ. And let's not get it twisted. IQ started out the season terrible too.
Yep. And that's why I'm saying those two are so important to our success next year. If we don't make a trade, I think so much of where we go and how far we go and the number of games we win, so on and so forth, is so much dependent on what they do. Quickly running that second group, well, quickly took over that third banana, that third option spot from RJ last year towards the end of the year. He took over that spot, which is the reason why everybody was so shocked during the playoffs when he didn't show up. But he took that over from RJ. So, I think everyone had higher expectations of him going into the playoffs than they did even RJ. So, those two are just really, really important to what we do. And I hear what you're saying, Freezie. On any given night, I think the combination of what they both will bring will equal that third banana. But then who's that bench guy? Who's that bench guy supposed to be? Who's that bench contributor? We need 3 guys and the bench guy. 3 guys and the bench. And if we get that, I think we're as good as anybody. I think we can be as good as anybody. But at some point, We need the people who have the ball in their hands the most to appreciate passing it every now and then and get it and creating something for someone else. Brunson creates the hell out of anything he wants for himself, but he's not the best when it comes to creating for someone else. We know Randle's not the best at creating for someone else. We know, RJ typically won't create for someone else.
Maybe the someone else's need to get better. Should we consider that?
That's the definite. We need to.
Well, I'll say this, Freezie. The someone else's aren't being told to be on ball when Brunson and Randle or RJ on the court.
Right.
They're not being told, hey, Grimes, the only time Grimes is a playmaker is on a closeout. Because our sole intention with our offensive philosophy is to draw double teams. And if you don't get the double team, destroy your man off the switch or in the isolation. That's what we do.
And here's why I think it's so important to try and use Grimes in that pick situation, because that's a way to get him off, right? If he goes and sets the pick for Brunson, which shouldn't be a problem, he's setting the pick for a point guard. Then when they try and double team him, now we have one of our best shooters on the team receiving the ball. So if he's open, he can take the shot. He can also get to the hole as well as anybody on the team, and he finishes at the basket almost as well as anybody on the team. So I think they need to utilize him in that spot a little bit more. They were trying to use RJ in that spot a little bit, and it was working to some degree in the playoffs when they had to make that change. But I think when you have a guy like Grimes, now you got a guy who can really he's much quicker with the rock. I think that makes us more dangerous with him receiving the rock up top.
Let me add basketball 101.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball 101, when you're playing with an ISO scorer and you want to score, cut away, right? You know what that means is cut away from the draw your man away from the isolation area, right? And present yourself as a target. When you do this, you open up just basically for those that follow football, it's like when the downfield passing game is not there, you throw bubble screens. That is what it's kind of like in a comparison. When you're playing with Randle, cut away. The reason why one of the reasons why Scottie Pippen scored a lot, he was a great player, right? But one of the reasons why Scottie Pippen got a lot of easy baskets, Michael Jordan was an ISO scorer, so Scottie Pippen cut away. The reason why Kobe Bryant could play with any small forward USA and they could live, I mean, think about all the small forwards he played. Rick Fox, Trevor Ariza, Devin George, you name it. They were taught to cut away when Kobe isos, right? When Brunson isos, you have to have, you know what?
I'll say Freezie, like,
cut away?
Yeah, go ahead.
They don't cut away because they're not athletic enough. We don't put an athletic dude on the floor. We don't have an athletic three because it's basketball 101 is when you playing with an ISO scorer, you cut away, you are going to get layups, maybe even dunks, right? But if you don't have that type of dude on the floor, like Dre, what type of offensive player is RJ Barrett? Ivory, what kind of offensive player is RJ?
He's an isolation player.
I would say he's he's a plotter.
Right. So he's not a spot up shooter, and he's not a slasher, right? So if you ask him to relocate, if you ask him to just shuffle his feet, stay open for the pass from an ISO scorer, he's not going to do that because he's not a good ISO scorer. And a good spot up shooter, and he doesn't relocate well, right? And then if you cut away, he's not athletic enough to cut away either to catch those lobs at the rim and finish.
I'll rebuttal that though, Freezie. How many times
he's not going to pass it anyway? So.
Hold on, how many teams have we seen RJ out of anyone on our team when teams go to zone or any type of junk defense? He flashes to the middle of the lane. And nobody passes him the ball.
Right. He's not going to get the ball anyway.
Like he flashes to the lane to put himself in a position to put pressure on the defense. We've seen it. That's something that he's picked up probably from Duke or even before then. because he knew how to leverage it, like when teams would focus in on Zion for when Zion was who he is, and we all know who he is. But
can I give
he
you
would
an
flash,
example?
but it's just not part of our offense, in my opinion. It's just
Can I
not what
give
we
you-
do.
Can I give you an example?
Okay,
Jason Tatum is an ISO scorer.
absolutely.
And I know that's breaking news. People are like, no, not Jason Tatum. He's not an ISO scorer, right? But when Jason Tatum gets into his ISO bag, you know what Jaylen Brown does? He cuts away, and defenses have to respect it. So now, instead of you having eyes on Jason Tatum and his defender, you have to watch out for the spot up three at the top of the key with usually a big that can knock down whatever their forward is that can knock down whoever it is that's going to
Al
draw
Horford.
whoever it is that's going to draw their big man away from the rim, right? And then the defense also has to respect the fact that Jaylen Brown will out jump anybody and throw it down their throat. You have to respect that, right? So with the Knicks, when Jalen Brunson starts to ISO, when Jalen Brunson gets into the Brunson burner, you know what the Knicks do? We clog the paint. We
But-
get ready to offensive rebound.
But Freezie, this is the thing. When you mentioned Jaylen Brown cutting away and whatever, they're using that spacing big that you're talking about as a screener to even let Jaylen Brown get to his launching pad, to even utilize him as a decoy because there's
Right.
there's constant off ball actions.
Yeah, you talking about
We
the Vince Carter lob. It's called the Vince Carter lob, but it's actually from David Thompson.
Yeah.
From the Denver Nuggets. When you screen for the dude that you want to throw the lob, but you do it away from the ball with a. I got what you're saying.
And then they also do like little flare screens away from the ball that have nothing to do with the action, just to let Tatum not see every single eyeball on him.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I do agree with you. Like we don't have that athlete that can just create like an advantage intrinsically.
A vertical mismatch.
Yeah, like we don't have that. But when you don't have that, you have to be creative in terms of your off-ball stuff, because they're like not every team has the super athlete, and teams, we may not be the most athletic team, but teams definitely get easier looks than we do get.
Right.
Even with guys that aren't that athletic.
Right.
It's some of it is on players though. Some of it, like some cutting, is totally IQ based.
Right.
And some of it is coaching. I think it's just a balance in my mind.
In our situation, it's a personnel issue. And for those that don't understand what I'm saying, when I say cut away and when I say the big pulls out another big away from the rim, think about when Steph Curry is on one wing, right? And you see Andrew Wiggins start off on the same side as Steph Curry and cut away from Steph Curry, knowing that he's going to curl back around, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man on the other side of the floor that's relocating the whole time is Klay Thompson, right? Now, when Wiggins does this curl, he cuts away only to return for the lob that could be there, right? If it's as simple as if Wiggins' man is trailing him, it's a lob to Wiggins, period. If his man is in trail position.
Freezie, those things are intrinsic to their offense, though.
But
those are rules. They're rules they gotta abide to.
But Dre, but they didn't create this, bro. This is
no. They did, yeah, for sure. They didn't create it.
Yeah, this is elementary stuff to make these intricate NBA defenses respect the basic level of basketball, which is 5 versus 5, right? In our offense, when Jalen Brunson isos, Mitchell Robinson is not an offensive threat.
Nope.
And Quentin Grimes, who I like, by the way, has not learned how to be a relocation artist yet.
Nope.
Right.
But he's working. I don't know if you saw, but he's working with JJ Redick, which is actually good.
Hey man,
that's actually very good.
That's the best thing that could happen to him. Being a relocation artist the thing I'm saying about Grimes all the time, and I sound like a hater. I'm not hating on Grimes. I'm only pointing out a place where he can get better. His relocation for three. You can't expect an NBA player to pass you the ball through a defender. That's ridiculous. And then a lot of times, the player doesn't even see Grimes. Even if he's open, if a guy is in that vision of the passer, Grimes is not going to get the ball. So what I'm saying is
that requires reps, chemistry, IQ. It's like some of that stuff that you see that IQ and Hartenstein have. Those repetitions where sometimes you see IQ just dump it to Hartenstein and it'll turn into a quick give and go out of nowhere, just where he relocates for a three.
Right.
And some of that is textbook straight up ripped out of what Stephen Curry has been doing for like the last 10 years.
Right. And I don't want to get too old school, but it's what Mark Price used to do with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know what I'm saying? He'll give it to Hot Rod Williams and he'll run through some screens, come back, get the ball. You don't forget about Hot Rod Williams. He dumped it to Hot Rod Williams for a bounce pass. It's a dunk. And then
because you overreacted.
And then the next time you run it, he looks at Hot Rod. The defense comes. It's a give and go to Mark Price. Mark Price is laying it up. Right? So it's like the thing is with Grimes is Grimes needs time. Period. That's it. Grimes needs time. I'm hoping the thing with JJ Redick works. I hope he gets into his mind that he's a shooter.
He has to be. He has to also be like a shooter off the move as well. That's the thing that separates guys and gets guys paid.
Right.
Off the dribble too, not just catch and shoot as well.
Right.
I mean, I can agree to that certain extent. Like when you mean off the dribble, you mean like dribble handoffs. He'll catch it around the screen and then.
I mean, like catch it, go around the screen, shoot it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like
I view it like.
I'm not saying come up half court, dribbling and then shooting it. Which I think he's capable of. He's shown it. Like when he drives to the paint and the way that he lays it up, like he has a handle. It's just I think it just needs to get perfected. That's all.
And I think he doesn't want to turn the ball over, because if he starts getting fancy with the ball, even though he has it in his skill set, he messes up once, especially with adding Dante and Josh Hart and all these guys. Tibbs will put him on the bench in a hurry, in my mind, if he screws up multiple times in a row.
Right.
Here's the thing. Grimes has shown the ability to take the ball to the hole and distribute and or finish. So that backup role of leading the bench, I think there's a possibility he might lean more towards Grimes this year to take over that role, because if Grimes is more dangerous. Grimes is more dangerous with the ball right now than RJ is. You know, whether we like it or not, the skill set is right there. When Grimes has the ball, teams have to D him up tight. When RJ has the ball behind the three, they're laying off of him. I think if to give Grimes more of an opportunity, he would deliver. But we're talking about Tibbs, and Tibbs. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gonna do what he's been doing.
We're talking about opportunity to what? Opportunity to shoot, because Grimes gets touches. Let's not act like Grimes doesn't touch the basketball. Grimes just doesn't shoot a lot.
It's the context of the touches that I think.
Right. Where is he getting those touches, and is he getting in the flow of the offense? Like, is he getting the opportunity to come to dribble around to run a curl play, come off a pick and roll, and figure out whether he wants to shoot or pass, like into the hole? I don't see him getting a lot of those type of opportunities.
It's like, is he getting the ball above the break on the 3-point line?
No.
And inherently, if you're not getting it there, that limits what you can do with the ball, because at that point it's like, I'll either take the open three, deal with a closeout, attack the rim, maybe dish it, lay up. But those are the three true outcomes. When you're getting the ball above the break, it's a little. Say it again?
You seen our breaks though.
Yeah.
You seen our break? You seen Josh Hart, Lisa. You seen Julius Randle pushing the break.
No. I said 3 outcomes for him.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I guess you're right. Josh Hart needs. Grimes needs to be able to grab the ball off a rebound, bring it up, do something with it. If it doesn't show up, then give it back to your guys.
Right.
But he's not assertive enough at times.
He
and I
sees
think it's
RJ,
part of it for a reason. So.
He watches RJ do it. He watches RJ screw up. RJ doesn't get benched, so I'm wondering why he still feels like he can't just go.
Don't get it twisted. RJ did get benched at the end of the regular season.
That's
a lot
true.
for Josh Hart.
He did. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But I think it's just time. I think as a young man, I think he'll come around. I think he'll come around, and he'll at the very least he'll try to do more. Hopefully, he'll be more successful when he does it.
I do believe in his talent, his skill set, and his potential. But it's like, you got to remember, Freezie, if Tibbs gets your hands on you, Lord knows what your actual potential will be. Because sometimes if you close your eyes and you see Grimes play at his worst, he looks like light-skinned Reggie Bullock.
Right.
He won't even put the ball on the floor. If he puts the ball on the floor, he looks scared. He's hesitant. And then at times when he's playing free and loose, like those end of regular season games where he has nothing to worry about because those games are low leverage, he's out here doing behind the backs, doing sham gods, doing inverted Euro steps, doing layups with his offhand. And then in leverage games, he will never put up a layup with his left hand.
He clams up, yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's still a young man.
He's still young for sure. Yeah, exactly.
We'll give him a chance. I'm just not worried about him. I think, I'm just not worried about him. I think he's going to be fine. I really believe because of the fact that he's not going to get the touches again. He might get touches. The opportunities will be low, few and far between, just like they were last year. I don't think that's going to change. So I think he'll do just fine.
But remember, over the course of 82 games, there's going to be opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, guys are going to get injured. There's going to be guys that take off.
Multiple opportunities, yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be nights where Grimes is forced to play 38 minutes.
Let's hope he's not one of those.
And it's going to be stretches in the season when you see it like 4 or 5 games in a row, him being assertive, right? My thing is this: we were in, and I hate to keep telling stories, but darling, we were in Charlotte quickly was in a 1-on-3 situation, right? And Oubre was in his shirt and quickly threw up the most ill-advised 3 you ever saw in your life, right? Tibbs turned Tibbs looked, he's like, Jalen, get his ass now, right? Jalen Brunson, you know how you put your shirt on when you go and sit down, take a break? Brunson sat, boop, jumped right back up, took his shirt off. Quickly came off, right? Tibbs cussed his ass out like a dog, bro. From the time he was Tibbs, blah, 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 all the way to the bench. Johnny Bryant tried to catch him and say something to him, and quickly looked Johnny Bryant in the face, like eyeball to eyeball, right? And set them up on the butt, like, "What's good, coach?" Like all the stuff Tibbs was saying to him.
Not everyone has the mentality for it.
Doesn't even affect him, bro. I say he snatched Grimes. I think Grimes hit 2 shots in a row. He subbed Grimes out, and Tibbs was like, "Hey man, you got such a." He was trying to talk to Grimes the whole time, and Grimes put his head down, went to the bench, and he was ice cold after that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna keep it real. Like, no matter what's going on, you're not gonna take the bark or the bite out of IQ. IQ could be 1 for 20. He's still gonna put that thing up.
And he believed he could be 1 for 20, bro, and he think he gonna finish 30 for 50.
And
he frustrates the hell out of me.
And Grimes will legitimately play 35 minutes and take 2 shots.
Yep. Bro,
he didn't get the ball sometimes. Not take shots sometimes.
My thing too is like the reason I give Grimes like slack is because he's going into year 3 now. He's young. He's gonna make mistakes. You feel me? You don't expect him to be perfect. And it's the same reason that I refuse to give RJ that same amount of like slack, is because you were a third pick and you have a lot of possessions throughout the game. You don't have to, like Grimes doesn't get as many touches as RJ, but Grimes comes in, and when he does get the touches, for the most part he tries to make them count. Like you never see Grimes shoot the ball and you're like, oh man, he shouldn't have taken that shot. Right. Oh like why did you do that? Like it's smart, high IQ basketball.
I saw Randle cuss him out though. I saw Randle cuss Grimes out so bad, bro. I think we were in Atlanta, and they kept double teaming Randle, and they tried to give Randle a towel or something, and he slapped the towel down, and he slammed in his seat, and Grimes was walking by, and Grimes was like, "Damn, I gotta walk past this motherfucker to go sit down." And Randle stood up and cussed him out, and I know why Randle cussed him out, bro. Because what happened is Grimes should have been relocating and been ready to shoot. But when y'all saw it on TV, y'all are saying Julius Randle is holding the basketball too long. Right? It's like when Eli was about to retire from the Giants. Right? Eli about to retire from the Giants. And Katz is like, oh, Eli, watch, man. He taking all them sacks. But nobody was talking about how Eli receivers could not get open and the offensive line sucked.
Outside of OBJ. That's why he kept passing it to him, because he was the only one getting open.
Right. But on TV, it looks like Eli Manning is washed up. Right? You see these things, it's like what the viewer sees and what the players know are two different things. And Grimes knows these things, but he knows he's learning. Grimes is learning on the job. That's why I'm like, relax, be patient with him. He's not Klay Thompson, right?
You want him to be.
Learning. He's going to get better and better, but relax, give him time. It's the same thing I say about RJ. The thing about RJ Barrett is some players need these 3, 4, 5 years, i.e. your Paul Pierces, your Jimmy Butlers. When you're not a superior athlete, you have to learn how to get your skills better. RJ Barrett is not jumping out of the gym, and he's not Sonic the Hedgehog, bro.
I agree.
He's an average height, average size, right? Maybe below average athleticism guy that's learning to play in the NBA, but he's a hard worker. You know what I'm saying? So am I saying that RJ, listen, everything everybody's saying about RJ is absolutely, positively spot on. He does need to be more efficient, right? He does need to figure out a way to be show more explosion. He does need to, but you know, do y'all remember what Manu Ginobili looked like when the Spurs first got him? He looked like a dude that couldn't get past his man.
Tony Parker was remember Tony Parker was not good for like 2-3 years.
Tony Parker was John Montero, too fast for the basketball. Y'all remember John Montero? John Montero last year, too fast for the basketball? He's so fast, he's leaving the basketball. That was Tony Parker, right? What I'm saying is Grimes is going to be a good NBA player, and he's going to be a good NBA player for the Knicks. He just needs time. RJ Barrett is on that path like those Paul Pierces that needed all that time at Kansas, right? Like Jimmy Butler that needed all that time at Marquette. These guys that don't have elite athleticism, bro, they have to find. RJ Barrett is not going to be Lavernius Coles, bro. He's going to be Wayne Corbett. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Lavernius Coles was born Lavernius Coles. He didn't get that in the gym, right? He fell out of bed running 4.2s. That's not Wayne Corbett. Wayne Corbett had to work on skills. You know what I'm saying? Improve himself year over year over years until he was dependable, and he's still a legend. He's still a Jets legend, right? The thing with RJ is RJ Barrett is not going to be Anthony Edwards. No matter how bad we want it, he's not going to be that guy. Anthony Edwards falls out of bed 47-inch vertical. RJ Barrett is not going to be Shaden Sharp, fall out of bed 47-inch vertical. He's not that guy. But can he beat Chris Middleton? Chris Middleton was a second-round pick that was on the Detroit Pistons bench with Spencer Dinwiddie. And now we look at Chris Middleton as the gold standard of a complementary player to an NBA star. Chris Middleton is the gold standard. But he didn't just become that. He worked on that for years. That's what RJ's doing right now, except he's doing it in the biggest media market in the NBA.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Right. I mean, when it comes to offense, he really doesn't have to do much more to be efficient. He really doesn't have to do much more to be there. If you
just making the right decision mentally. It's legitimately between the ears with him.
And I think his defense will get better. And I know that shooting also is very rare that a player of his caliber that works as hard as he does doesn't get better at shooting. They all get better at shooting at some point.
Right.
I think RJ, because of that mentality he has, and because of that, I mean, it's just no one has it. And I've never been an RJ defender. I don't make excuses for the guy.
Yeah, you were shipping him out of here.
I was ready to give him at least 3 or 4 times
for DeRozan. I know you wanted DeRozan.
Absolutely. That was the first one. Absolutely. But you know, not for nothing, but you know, if you look at what his trajectory is, he's really on a nice path. He's going to be fine. I think RJ might be a big shocker to. Well, I don't even think people will be shocked if he comes out and has another year when he puts up good numbers like he did in that second year or that third year.
Yeah. Remember, like, I think you remember mentioning, Darley mentioning like Grimes is like being in his third year. What if I told you Grimes is still older than RJ?
Yep. By a month, right?
Yeah. He's a month still old. So is IQ. IQ's older than RJ, by the way. That's why I was like, development for sure is not linear because everyone's path is completely different. And to be absolutely honest, we drafted RJ to be this do-it-all playmaker, right? Did we ever like let him do that? To take his lumps within the decision-making process of that?
No.
Listen, he had plenty of opportunity. I'm not going. We can't go there.
He's never been the number one. Like first, I'll say
had
this.
Plenty of opportunities to be a distributor and say that he could.
His first year, he didn't.
He didn't do it.
His first year, he did not. You know who we signed his first year?
But throughout his career, I know, I remember, I got it, I remember. But here's the deal: he's had so much opportunity to prove that he could be that type of player. He never has shown that he's willing to be that type of player. You know, he really hasn't. You know, I mean, because he takes 19 attempts a game. He goes to the hole so much. He has plenty of opportunities to pass the ball, and he chooses not to.
Some of it is how we organize our offense. Some of it, I'm not gonna lie to you, I really do think Tibbs thinks it's better that he misses at the rim than anything because he values more possessions. He values offensive rebounds. If you notice, when RJ goes to the rim, Mitch is already looking to box out. Even before, sometimes Mitch doesn't even roll hard to the rim to catch a lob. He'll go straight to the dotted line and put his backside on somebody. Right. And I feel like a lot of our shot profile, it's paint touches, paint misses, and threes. Like if you notice, the only person on this team that shoots mid-range shots is Brunson. Randle's mid-range attempts fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was nice right around that foul line.
But they told him to do that, bro.
Yeah, they told him to do that. Analytics department told him to.
Yeah, Julius Randle, you don't just change the way you play basketball because you feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, the coaching staff, he the coaching staff to him and to RJ is RJ, you can get to the rim better than most players in the NBA. But here's the thing. RJ Barrett doesn't finish at the rim better than most players in the NBA. If he did, now we're talking about an SGA type player, right? If RJ Barrett was an above average finisher, we're talking about RJ Barrett scoring like 24 a game, easy, right? If he could finish at the rim, think about this. If RJ just hit two of those bunnies that he misses every game, that's 4 points.
Either that or getting fouled.
He's the only guy we have that'll do it though consistently.
That's what I'm saying. He's the battering ram on his team,
right?
And I think Tibbs is using him in that way,
right?
Purposely. It's the reason why you only see RJ. RJ is the only person on his team who gets the ball in that pistol action.
He's going to get person that gets it at the rim. He's going to get the ball on the rim, right on the rim. He will get it there. Sure, he might not make it as much as he should, but he's going to get it there. And I know everyone will say, "Well, yeah, a lot of guys can get to the rim and miss." No, they can't.
Not everyone has a Mitch.
There's a reason why in 2 years that Grimes does not even average 2 foul shots a game because he doesn't go to the rim enough.
Right.
He doesn't. He'll pass the rock at the last minute or whatever. You got to go to especially as a 2 guard, you got to go to the rim. That's my knock on his game. But,
he goes, like, if he gets to the paint, he goes up soft a lot. Like, right. he either tries to kill himself trying to dunk on someone or he goes up soft.
Hey, he will try to kill himself. And we saw it in Charlotte, bro.
He tried to do it to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, he tried to do it in Orlando. He tried to do it in Orlando. Orlando had like 9 7-footers on the floor, and Grimes tried to dunk on everybody, bro. This kamikaze. If the kamikaze was more consistent, bro, we'd love it, right? But my thing is though, with RJ, is we've been seeing this from Tibbs the whole time. When Elfrid Payton was here, it was Elfrid Payton and RJ ramming their way to the basket. Last year, it was Alec Burks and RJ Barrett ramming their way to the rim, right? This year, it was just RJ by himself ramming his way to the rim, right? It's the Tibbs offense, right? It's not that RJ Barrett. Think about this. If you, as a viewer who has never coached in the NBA, can see these things, you're telling me a NBA franchise does not?
Right.
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing to assume. Us as viewers and fans of the game see it, but an NBA coach and an organization does not see it. That's incredulous thinking. The Knicks want RJ going to the rim. They want him doing these things. It's the reason why RJ Barrett does it over and over and over in a game, in a week, in a month, in a year. It's the reason why he does it over and over and over again.
I agree with that.
Wants him to do it.
Absolutely. And I think he should do it. And I think he absolutely should do it because he needs to get to the line to make his game more efficient. He's got to get to the line. We know he's not going to make a bunch of threes consistently. So I think that there's one thing he can do consistently, it's get to the line and make those foul shots. And I think next year we'll see a little bit more of an improvement in that foul shot because I think last year he made a nice step forward. I think we'll see another small step forward. So I think we'll see, but that's the way he's going to be more efficient is by getting to the line more. I didn't mind that 1 for 10 effort as much as many people did that game 6. I saw him going to the line consistently, putting their team in foul trouble. I saw him just getting where he needed to be, keeping us in the game. So I know he's going to have bad shooting nights, but if he's consistently going to the line, I'll take it.
But what else is he going to do? Like, I guess this is where my problem is with our lack of talent, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, when are we going to get a superstar? Because that
is another question.
We got one.
No, we don't.
We need
we
another.
don't.
We need another one.
We got a star, and we got a player that's becoming and is basically going to be an all-star this year.
Here's my thing. We have two guys who can perform on a star level on any given night. So why do they have to have the name and the bells and whistles? We've got two guys that are as decorated as any two guys in the league. Sure, Brunson hasn't been decorated yet, but we've seen him perform on that level. We know he's on that level. So if we have two guys that are on that level who can perform at a superstar level every night or on a consistent amount of nights, then do we really need the superstar? And trust me,
yes.
I've only been thinking about this the last few days. I don't know if we really do.
And here's my counter to that, my brother. My counter to that is that, yeah, we have two players that are all stars that will play like all stars on any given night. That's correct. That's true. But then they run into the superstar and forget about it. If we're talking about championships, like we gotta upgrade.
What superstars outperformed the Knicks on a consistent level? Which superstars did we play against outperformed the Knicks on a consistent level?
And I got a question for you, and I guarantee you I'll make this thing happen. If you get a team to give us a superstar, I'll get Worldwide West on the phone right now.
Wait, what?
Go get it. You heard me. Tell an NBA team to give us their superstar, and I'll get Worldwide West on the phone. Right
Look, nobody's just going. Wait, what? I'm sorry, Freezie. I'm not understanding the question.
Go get the superstar. Go get a team to give away their superstar, and I'll get Worldwide West on the phone right now.
How am I supposed to do that?
Right, because it's not possible. Teams don't give away superstars. If getting superstars were easy, then the Knicks would have one already. Bro,
but I never said it was easy.
But what I'm saying is the assumption is that the Knicks are not trying to get a superstar. That's the assumption.
I'm not making that assumption.
Okay, so why'd you say why don't we have a superstar?
Because we don't have one. We need to go out and get one. Is what I'm saying. We have the assets to make that happen. I'm just pointing out the fact that we need to go. We need a superstar.
Who's going to give you this superstar?
Well, we got to go out and make the phone calls. Look, I'm not completely sold on that Embiid situation over there in Philly. Like,
listen. No one on the Heat performed like superstars versus the Knicks. No one on the Heat performed like superstars. I mean, I guess Butler had a great series before they met up with the Knicks, but no one's performing like, what is a superstar? Brunson is performing. He's averaging 30 a game. That's a superstar.
Bro, the superstar thing, and I get it. I know that every organization wants a Giannis, right? But for every organization that has a Giannis, there is an organization trying to keep their Giannis. Right? Nobody, Denver's not trading Jokic, bro. Right?
They're trying. And Dame ain't never won nothing, and they're not trying to move Dame unless it's absolute top dollar.
Yeah. and they went through like 11 seasons of Dame, and they still don't want to get rid of Dame, bro. Nobody is trading their superstar, especially for instance, I'll give you a prime example. Boston has Tatum and Brown, and for all the beef that was going on with Brown in the organization, do you think the Celtics would trade him to the Knicks? No.
The first chance they got, they gave him the richest contract in NBA history
ever. Right. And Joel Embiid, for all the smoke created by the media around Joel Embiid, because Philly never said they're entertaining offers for Joel Embiid, right? The Knicks never said, and somebody told me this, and I went back and looked at all the interviews, right? The Knicks never said that they are star chasing. The media says that.
I'm pretty sure the Knicks haven't said anything.
Right. That's true too.
Which I'm happy about, and we can talk about that later, Freezie, but I'm happy about that.
even when there was smoke around players, smoke generate like around Zion. Oh, Zion, you never heard anybody from the Knicks organization even murmur Zion's name. They didn't even, not even at the coffee shop. You ain't had none of that, right? What I'm saying to you, bro, is and not that and not that I disagree with what Dolly is saying. What I'm saying is what he is asking is tremendously difficult.
But it's possible.
Acquiring a superstar in this league is not as easy as wanting to acquire a superstar in this league.
More importantly, is
like that Melo deal.
Is it necessary?
That Melo deal was a lot easier when we got Melo than any like superstar trade that's gonna happen in this climate, in this economy.
Because Melo told Denver he was gone. Melo told Denver he was gone.
I have been calling for a superstar forever. And
Go ahead,
for the
Dolly.
first time in a long time.
Oh, my fault.
I'm not so sure we really need one right now. I'm not so sure about that.
And
if Randle plays like Randle did during the regular season, during the playoffs, and we have it quickly, and RJ's still here, and Hart coming off the bench, and Hart playing the way he did at the end of the year, are we not a solid I mean, we're pretty damn good. I don't know if we're good enough, but we're pretty damn good if we have our guys show up. And it wasn't the defense that made our guys not show up. One of our main guys was hurt. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and be this Knicks homer who's like, yeah, we got a championship team, blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Freezie mentioned the other day 60 games. And well, if you're 60 games, you're damn good. And I'm thinking, I think we are damn good. I don't know about 60 games, but I don't care about 60 games. I care about what we do in the playoffs. And I think this team, if we play our game, we're as good as a lot of teams. I know damn well no one's going to sit here and say Miami they played like superstars versus. No one played like superstars.
A lot of them dudes played above their heads from three, though. That's the reason. It wasn't superstar play that did that. It was a lot of good coaching, a lot of guys being used to the best of their abilities. Because there was no guy on that team dropping 20 on us. Not one guy. Besides Jimmy.
Right.
No one on that team dropped 20 on us besides Jimmy.
I'm with Ivory on this one. I think the way we are right now, I can see us being a really, really, really a really tough regular season team. Ivory wants me to talk about the playoffs or what we do in the playoffs. I just can't push my chips into the center of the table over Tom Thibodeau. I just can't. Right. And I know that sounds like a week out. It's not a week out. I'm making a hard stance right there on Tibbs in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? If anything, like if we want to get the end result that Darley is talking about and that Ivory is talking about, I think what we'll do is if we can upgrade the coach and have an innovator on that level offensively, then I think it makes up for that gap that Dolly is talking about between Jalen Brunson and maybe a Kevin Durant type player, where a guy looks like Kevin Durant because the system suits him better.
I was gonna ask Darley what type of player would you target? Would you target a wing, or you just want any All NBA type guy? Like, because you mentioned Embiid.
I just love Embiid's game. Like, I know a lot of people aren't the highest.
I'm a fan of his game. I'm a fan of his game.
But I love Embiid, so I think he would fill in those gaps that our center position doesn't do. Like, for example, like Mitch he's just mostly a defensive guy, and other than Dulab, he doesn't have any other moves. Like, Embiid would just bring another level of dominance to that position. But other than that, I'm not even opposed to still trying to go and get Donovan Mitchell, bro. Like, I mean, that's not a superstar, but that's a star. You feel me? And I think he'd still be a good piece on this team, regardless of size or whatever. Because I know a lot of people like to bring up the fact that he's small, but if you look at his defensive numbers, he's not a bad defender for his size. And I watched some of the games too just because I like to keep an eye on Donovan Mitchell because I just like the player. I'm a fan of his, and I like him. Like I think he would be a great fit for this team, for the culture and everything. But just you can't just bring every superstar because it has to fit. I think our biggest position that needs work though is the wing, if you ask me. Now superstar wings are far and few right now. If we're talking about star wings, it's just like it's become like this new era where like we're talking about LeBrons and all these guys that are superstars. They're going past their prime. So it's like,
there was the Paul George thing.
Yeah, and the Paul George thing, I think that it was like they didn't want what was it? They didn't want to extend his contract after
because he wanted a max. And you saw what Anthony Davis got today, or yesterday.
Yeah, and the numbers right now with the contracts doesn't make a lot of sense right now, I think. But once the salary,
the cap goes up,
because
like
it's gonna be that big of a deal.
By the CBA, like the CBA is projected to go up 10% every year. Max contracts can only go up 8% in terms of because it's based off percentages compared to what the CBA is. But max contracts can only go up 8% year over year.
So you're talking about over a 3-year stretch. It's the you're talking about, and I was going to say 6%, but it's actually 8% because it's 2 times 2 times 2, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 times 2 times 2 over 3 years. You're talking about maybe like $10 million added to your cap, $13 million added to your cap.
And I don't wanted to mention this other point because I know people were talking about how. Well, Brunson's going to get paid in 2 years, and Randle's looking at his payday. Brunson's max is not going to be like what Anthony Davis's max is.
No.
Solely because the bird rights factor is gone. He came here as a free agent. So did Randle. And to that point, the only way Brunson can get a super max, even if he makes All NBA, the only way he can get a supermax is if he plays 10 years in the NBA, and he hasn't reached that. He's only in his 5th, going on 6th year. Yeah,
there's one exception, right? So
there's 2 maxes. There's the 35% max and the 30% max, and Brunson's getting the 30% max.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm talking about though.
Yeah,
what I'm talking about is if Brunson waits to the end of his 3rd season with the Knicks, then he has bird rights, exclusive rights to negotiate with one team. So he'll have bird rights once you play 3 consecutive years with the same team, right? But if he waits till he goes into his 4th year, all of that stuff that you just mentioned is on the table, especially if he starts to hit those key performance indicators,
those accolades, all NBAs,
the all-star teams, the all NBA, all defense team make the playoffs. All these things that agents and teams negotiate in contracts. So
Freezie, that's the thing. The bird rights, there's 2 different kinds of bird rights. There's the one that you're mentioning where it happens after a few years, and then there's the one that you came into the league with. Those, and the one that he's getting in 3 years, he can get the 30% max.
Right.
But the super max, the 35%, the Anthony Davis's max, like. Those are the ones that are a ton. And to be absolutely honest, whenever Brunson goes for his extension or what have you, he's still going to be underpaid. If he's ascending, in my mind.
Though, remember Anthony Davis left one team and joined another,
but he kept his rights. They traded him. Remember that they traded him. He didn't just join that team as a free agent.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys.
That's the difference. That's the reason why these other bird rights happen when you stay with a team for 3 years off of free agency. They had to implement that in the CBA to create some sort of bird rights that are different from your rookie bird rights from the team that drafted you, and then that gets transferred over to other teams when it gets traded. But for all intents and purposes, Freezie, he's still on his technically he's still on his rookie deal. He's just been extended off of it over and over, whereas Brunson has just been cut off of the deal and joined the team on a separate contract.
Right.
compared to just extensions over and over, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead, Arthur.
But
Same thing for Randle, by the way.
I
But
wanna
Randle's
ask
going to
you
be
a
10 years
question.
in, so.
If RJ has the same year he had in year 2, same exact year, same scoring, same statistics, and IQ is the 6th man of the year candidate again, it's, runner up, whatever. Do you still think it's necessary to have a star to reach the level we want to get to? I mean, to say win it all is hard to win it all, whatever. To be a true contender,
Like
would
one of the
that-
last 4 teams in the league.
right? Would
But, you know.
we have enough to be in the ECF if RJ shoots the 2nd year numbers and IQ is also the 6th man of the year candidate?
And let me just ask a couple other things. That's assuming that Josh Hart plays at Josh Hart level, right?
Mhm.
And Dante DiVincenzo plays at Dante DiVincenzo level.
Whatever that is.
Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson, and Randle is Randle.
Right.
Then I think you're looking at a 65 win team.
Well, then that makes us contenders this year, because every other team is going to have the same question marks we do. I think they're just probably a little bit more proven. Some of the other teams that we're thinking about, they're more proven because they've been there. But I think we have the talent level. That's what I'm saying. I think we have the talent level to compete with just about anybody when you look at it.
That year 2 RJ that you mentioned was a difference maker. That year 2 RJ that you remember RJ Barrett? You remember the Celtics game Sunday afternoon where RJ Barrett was 6 for 6 from 3?
And
remember when Boston?
Tatum?
yeah. When RJ was the focus of the Celtics defense. Y'all remember that Sunday afternoon game? RJ Barrett was 6 for 6. If RJ Barrett does that, where he takes defensive eyes away from Brunson and Randle, and quickly plays like a 6th man of the year candidate, and RJ Barrett was I don't know if y'all remember, but RJ Barrett kinda shut down a red hot Kawhi Leonard that season too. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
RJ's proven that he's capable of playing good D when he's into it. He's proven that he could do it. We just got to see it every night. His concentration needs not to be on scoring 20. It needs to be on defending his man and letting those shots come where they come.
Yeah, RJ Barrett is wildly inconsistent.
But I'll tell you, RJ's 2nd year statistics, he was literally less than half of a 3 more a game from having those exact numbers. Less than I think RJ is fully capable of being that 3rd banana that we're talking about, especially if he keeps going to the basket and passes the ball a little bit more. I'm not sure if we need that 3rd star. I can't believe that's that other star. I can't believe I'm saying that of all the time I've been screaming for. Just like you're talking about. Is it Darley?
Yep. That's how I got Darling. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've been calling for it. I've been saying it too. I think we need it. And I'm here to tell you, I think we might even be just one move away from being a contender right now. But I'm not even sure we need to make that move. I'm not sure.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Now, with all this stuff, we're talking about probability, right? Because if you think about it, what's the probability of us making it to the championship, Eastern Conference Finals, whatever? When you bring up, we talk about superstars, stars. The more you add, the higher the probability, and that's what you want. You want a higher probability of being able to make it there.
Do you think there's a chance within internal growth, like Brunson gets better, Randle gets better, we get better in terms of continuity, right?
Yeah.
I'm speaking to Darley. Do you like if everything
I think Randle is gonna improve this year. I honest to God, I believe it. There's something like you don't ever have to doubt that Randle's gonna work. And I think every time the more people hate on him, the better he gets. Every single year, bro, since we've had him. That's why I have a lot of respect for that man. Because he's here despite all the adversity he's been put against between fans and whatnot. And Brunson, I think he's gonna move the ball more this year because a lot of people talk about like are doubting his abilities as a point guard, saying he's not a point guard or whatever, this, that, and the fourth. But if you look at his numbers comparable to the stars and all-stars who people consider point guards, 6 assists per game, he's averaging the same amount of assists. So if he can bring that number up, which is what people want, they just want him to move the ball more. I think that would be great. But that also entails that the players that he's passing the ball to are making the shots.
Right. But, I will say the way he's getting his assists is totally different from a lot of those guys. Brunson seems to pass when he's got no choice but to. Whereas a lot of those guys are going to the hole, the big man picks him up, they drop it off to another guy for a dunk, or they hit it out for an open three. It's just a completely different type of point guard game. Brunson's a scoring guard. He gets his assists like Iverson used to get his assists. He's looking to score, and if another guy's open and he just happens to whatever, gets guarded at the last minute, he'll give it to that guy. And I understand there's only a few true point guards left in the league these days, but I'm just saying he's a scoring guard. Brunson's a definite scoring guard.
I'll say this, Ivory. This was his first chance ever being just the prohibitive lead guard. And I think maybe there's a learning curve to this. Like, he's never going to not be thinking score first, but there's going to be a learning curve in terms of when to pick his spots, when to set up other guys. I think it's one of those things where continuity matters for sure. Knowing where guys want the ball, the timing, an IQ thing. I think it may not show up blatantly, but I think he's going to have a better playmaking year this year. It may not just be him averaging 8 or 9 assists. It may still just be like 7 assists, but he picks his spots better. He's not dribbling with his head down and then deciding to pass when it doesn't work. I think it's going to be much more in line with an offensive identity and him setting up his guys. I think it just takes time.
I'd like to see that because I think the Knicks really, really need it badly. I think the Knicks need that as badly as they do anything to get to the next level because they became so easy to guard in the playoffs. And every shot we were taking was contested. We couldn't hit a shot because we had a guy right in our face every single shot. Not every shot, but close to it.
I mentioned this to Freezie before. I said it on another show. If the most important play of your season comes down to you running Randle at center, then you probably should be running it more often. Or you should see the look more often so you can develop chemistry within that type of offense.
I heard you. I heard you today. You mentioned that to Freezie, and Freezie mentioned that was probably one of the most compelling statements of the summer. And I honestly have to agree with it. I think if you are going to do that at the end of the game when it's absolutely the most important moments of the game, most important moments of the season, then why haven't you tried it at some point during the season, or at least tried to do it a few times during the season? We didn't really see much of that at all. We saw it a few times a little bit, but not much at all. But I thought that was also a very, very compelling statement. And I think
they addressed that.
One of the biggest knocks on Tibbs really is.
I think they addressed that. I think that's the reason why DiVincenzo was here. I think they're addressing that exact situation. The reason why it was important for them to get DiVincenzo and not bring in another big bruising body is because that scenario right there, where they could put Randle at the 5, RJ at the 4, Hart at the 3, and so on and so forth. It is for that example that Dre spoke to and Ivory just mentioned.
And can I piggyback off what Dre said real quick earlier about Brunson improving, if you guys don't mind?
Yeah.
The other thing we got to remember, and I'm going to be quick about it, is that this is Brunson's first year with this team, bro. He's still, regardless of, him having relationships or whatever, he's still learning to play with these other players on this team. And him maybe not wanting to pass the ball or be hesitant to pass the ball. He's like, why would I pass it to this bum if I could go and drop 30 real quick? Like, hold up. This guy might miss it. I know I can make this. Like, you feel me? It's like it's a lot of.
I hear you. I just think the team's success,
and that takes time.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. I just think the team, when I look at like team success and what it's going to take us furthest, is when we learn to play together. I just think that's the only way to really get to the promised land, is really learning to play with play. And of course, after watching Golden State, do it year after year, pass the rock. They got the best shooters, but people don't watch and see how they get open. They get open by passing the rock, pick and roll, like really standard running plays. They got no athletes. They have no athletes on that team anywhere to be seen. And they get open. They find a way to get open because they pass the rock, they run plays. They don't come down and just put it up unless you're Steph Curry. But,
Ivory, can I just say something about using that as an example? You got to be careful because that's the same team that whenever Steph Curry isn't playing, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Kid you not, statistically. Because they got when Curry's on the floor, remember they got the best shooter in the world on that team, bro. So of course they're gonna figure when he's on the floor, they're gonna figure out a way to win. When he's not on the floor, they look lost.
That may be true. I'm just really referring to how they run their offense and how they get guys open. I'm saying they're number one in the league when it comes to assists, right? Not just because they're great shooters. And what I'm saying is, but because of the way they really pass the ball and get themselves open. I think we don't do that enough. Is all I'm saying. And I think if we learn to do that more, that would make us much more dangerous and much more harder to guard.
Let me reset that just a teeny bit. So Golden State always has at least one elite athlete on the floor. Always.
Who?
They started with Harrison Barnes. Then it was Andre. Then it was Andre Iguodala, and then it was Gary Payton, Dante DiVincenzo, and Gary Payton II.
I would say Wiggins before.
I'm sorry. I meant Wiggins. I meant Wiggins. Did I say Wiggins? I thought I said Wiggins.
You said GP2 and then you said Dante.
I meant to say Wiggins first. I'm sorry. Yeah. They keep an athletic dude on the floor to cut away from Steph Curry. But I understand your premise though. But they do keep an athlete, and that style of offense they run, they have to have an elite athlete on the floor, somebody to threaten the rim, because they run a non-conventional front court of Draymond and Looney. They
sometimes Looney, then sometimes they put Wiggins at the 4. It depends. It's a hodgepodge at times.
Yeah, but they run a non-traditional front court of dudes that don't even think about scoring. So they have to keep an elite athlete on the floor to threaten the rim, and then that way that keeps the heat off their shooters. But to your point though, with the Knicks, we don't keep the heat off our shooters. Every time you see, as a matter of fact, when's the last time you saw Grimes shoot an uncontested 3?
Well, I'll say the only time we see Grimes take uncontested threes is because teams overload as far as helping on our double teams. It's like that's how we try to generate threes, but because it's so static, you can scout that out in the postseason. In the regular season, you can see Grimes get an open 3 here and there because teams overreact and double team. But when you're in the postseason and teams know your tendencies and they know how to rotate exactly how to rotate from our static, because we always have a guy or two in the corner. When you get to the playoffs, teams know how to rotate precisely and they know how guys like to set up. They know even what hand they like to catch the ball in, like what hand they like to pass out of. It gets cut down when it's so high leverage. But to the point, like, when we played the Miami Heat, they had some athletes, but outside of maybe Bam, they didn't really have like a 99 percentile type athlete.
Caleb Martin, maybe?
Nah.
Caleb Martin.
He's a solid athlete, but
he's a very good. That's what him and his twin brother are known for, bro.
Yeah, he ain't no Wiggins. I'll say that.
I mean, you talking about the number 1 pick? I mean, it's a lot of guys. There are not many guys that's going to be that, but Martin, both Martin brothers are very,
and Martin didn't even play well against us. You got to remember that he didn't actually play well against us. He killed the Celtics, though.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about his athleticism.
I get what you're saying, but like the reason why Miami Heat play the way they do now in terms of like misdirection and ball and man movement is because of the 2014-2015 Spurs. If you notice, their whole philosophy in terms of how they generate offense went away from a ton of isolation from the Heatles and it moved into more of a ball movement, man movement thing because Spoelstra got schooled a lot that entire series against the Spurs when they came back after losing that heartbreaker. And if you notice, the Miami Heat play and run a ton of sets that are similar to the beautiful basketball Spurs, which emphasize ball and man movement and the ball not really sticking in guys' hands too much and generating open looks just intrinsically. And to that point, the Warriors have copied a ton of that as well. So,
And there is our Achilles heel. Greetings, gentlemen. This
greetings,
is
Wiz.
El Presidente.
General Ivory. You
What's
pose a
up, Wiz?
question, and similar. What's up, boss, gentlemen? You pose a question that I pose in a different way, and essentially, I think even Freezie and I kind of agree on the final outcome. So, the statement you stated was, assuming our players make that next, let's say, step, not and that's going to be defined multiple ways, or they actually play to their potential at the stage they are right now. And mostly we're talking about RJ and Grimes. I'm hearing 65 victories and stuff, and I'm not going to even doubt that possibility. My question that I posed was similar, but I said, would that team win a chip compared to switching those two guys out for a player of a PG-13 caliber who stays healthy throughout the season and playoffs predominantly? The debate was, my debate with myself is, neither of those teams are going to win the chip because 4 series with our current offensive scheme, because of our current coach, will be figured out by an excellent coach every time, and that'll be our Achilles heel. Our offense is too stagnant and not diverse enough and not varied enough to go for a 7-game series. Absolutely, regular season, we play you maybe back-to-back at the worst case, multiple games back-to-back, home and home. But you see us twice. And those 2 games, we could probably fool you a little bit. But 7-game series, they're gonna be figured out by excellent coach with a quality team, and that means by the second or third series, which means second round, and maybe for lucky ECF, it's over by a quality coach. So
Wiz, I agree. You know who Tom Thibodeau is? Tom Thibodeau is Marty Schottenheimer.
Exactly.
That's who Tom Thibodeau is, bro.
I wanted to jump on this morning. I was gonna say, we got Obi back now. We got an Obi back. We got a Noel back.
We got Obadiah.
How tall is he, Freezie? Guess.
I think he's 6'9".
People pull up his height. People. Obadiah Noel.
I have never heard of this man. He's 6'4", by the way.
Oh, he's 6'4".
I know that
Freezie, you should have known 6'4", Freezie. How could you not know? That's a Tibbs. Tibbs loves that height.
And he's 24. Like, what are we even doing with this dude?
6'4".
You see why I'm the number 1 chief rocker, bro?
Yeah, we get way off. I'm not getting into the Marty shot.
I'm the number 1 chief rocker, right? This is why I knew his height and stuff, right? But I wanted to give Wiz his moment. So I played the Barney Fife card, right? So Wiz can have his moment, bro.
So here's the thing, Wiz. I don't want to even discuss what if someone takes next steps. No one's going to become I don't want to even go there. I'm talking about if these guys play to a level that we've already seen them play at.
Right.
For a full season. We've seen Julius be an all-star for a season, all NBA. We've seen Brunson perform at all-star level for the year. We've seen RJ perform in his second year, shooting 44% from the field and 38 or 40% from 3. If he does that and quickly is the 6th man of the year candidate again, how good are the Knicks?
Again, I agree with you guys that 60 wins, I think is possible. My concern is 4 out of 7, 3 straight series is the challenge. You watch tapes of us for back-to-back games, and that's where our Achilles heel is, because our offense is not, even those steps by those guys, is too predictable and our coach is too stubborn to create enough confusion or concern by the other team to not figure it out and find a way to stop us. That's my fear.
Well, we can say this. We performed pretty decently in that last series versus Miami with a hurt Randle, no Quickly, and a so-so RJ. So if we had decent performances along with that decent offense, and do you think we could have performed better if we had a healthy Randle? And if we did, would that have been enough for you to say, okay, yeah, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and yes, we are good enough? What would it have taken?
You know what? My concern about this past playoff series, and I'm happy with what we did. I'm not one of those guys they'll start putting in, that I'm crying like they talk about people crying, right? I'm pleased with we overachieved, I think, this past season, or we achieved at levels that most of us didn't think we would have, and most people didn't think we would, except for Freezie and a few other select people. However, I think we also had we're opportunistic. We had these opportunities, like with Cleveland, to catch them just right where they have some vulnerabilities with that brand new, somewhat young lineup, and Donovan Mitchell not adjusting the way Brunson adjusted with us, and we called him just right. We missed a opportunity to beat a healthy, Boston Celtics with a rookie coach, but we could have called them too because of that rookie coach. And again, they have a small missing piece. And then, of course, Milwaukee, we missed a chance to face them in the second round or third round if we got to it, with a potentially slightly injured Giannis and Middleton try to come back again to the flow. Again, I think they're getting a little old, like Freezer said, Middleton and Drew.
Yeah, the
but
washed, bro. We scared. We scared of ghosts, bro.
So I'm gonna look at not the past series, not the past season, or playoff series, but next one with these teams tuned in where they are right now. And I see KP. I think Smart's a big loss, but I think KP and White are gonna make a difference. That's gonna shock in the playoffs. That's gonna shock the Eastern Conference, and unfortunately, that's who I'm calling for ECF and potential finals champ next year. Because I really think KP and White are a unique combination, and I don't see us beating them. I don't think we can dismiss Milwaukee no matter how old we think they are. And
you need some tissue. You need some Boston Celtics color tissue.
And I think Cleveland.
Yo, I got something for Wiz.
Oh yeah, here we go.
I got something for Wiz. That blood clot crying. Up here crying about the Boston Celtics. We don't care nothing about no Boston Celtics, bro.
I know, and again, I'm agreeing with you that we just have to perform at the levels that we've seen us capable of performing, and not just regular season for some guys, but playoff. And that's a much, much better team than what we just saw this past season. But I think the teams that are going to step, including Cleveland, because remember, Cleveland also is going to step up and they're going to perform, and they're going to be like, why didn't you guys perform the way the regular season? Why didn't you? And now they added another piece that if they perform at a level, start with Mitchell, that they did the regular season. If they do, they say the same thing right now in the Cav podcast. Even Atlanta saying the same thing right now. Oh my goodness, DeJounte Murray and Trey, man, if those guys perform, man,
oh my God.
So if we are going to be homers and say our guys can perform at the levels they should perform at, how good are we? I think they say the same thing. I think Cleveland is really good if they perform at the level that they can.
But they don't have.
I was like, I don't think no disrespect to you. How you doing, Ivory? I haven't seen. I love you. Yo, I love your post on the Facebook. You know what I'm saying? On the Facebook, we got yo, Fred, yo. Hold on a second, bro, because I can't stand to hear this. I love you, Wiz.
Well,
How
first of
long you
all, by
gonna
the way,
tap
my
in?
name is Wiz, right? So I'm even smarter
Yeah.
than Dre. Even Dre knows basketball more than anybody else. And Ivory's a genius and Mr. Super IQ man. I am
First of
with
all, that's Mr. Genius. Please,
wisdom.
IQ.
I just number one chief rocker.
Wisdom.
Go ahead.
Wisdom. Listen, I love you. I embrace you. But bro, when you gonna stop tap dancing for everybody else and not for your own team?
The
You looking
voice
like
of
Gregory
wisdom.
Hines. You looking like Gregory Hines and his brother. And you sitting here hitting me with all your trepidations. Like you feel like I feel like I'm about to feel your heart palpitations, and you gonna fall out on me right now because you looking at everybody else, but you're not even looking at what you got in your own. It's
It's
like
not
you don't
dismissing that. You keep acting like I just
you
missed
know
the
no
Knicks
no
convention.
stop bro.
Well,
I
I'm a
just sat
Marine,
here,
by the way. I'm a Marine, not Army. I'm a Marine.
bro.
So
I
the
just
few
sat
the
here and listened
proud.
to you,
The few the
bro.
proud.
I just
I'm
sat here,
not Army. I
bro.
am believe we're the
Bro,
elite.
I just sat here. Bro, I just sat here and listened to you for 15 minutes before I even said, "Hey, how you doing?" And you talking about what everybody else is doing, but you don't even look at what you got, and you did not even show no appreciation
I started
of
with
what
us.
we
I
did.
started with us. I said with us, we're going to
But
be a better.
nah, but
I
that's
agree
like
with
but
Ivory.
bro,
But
that was a backhanded
Ivory
like
said,
that was a backhanded compliment. You
no,
know
it
what that's
wasn't.
like? That's like it's like
Ivory.
you good looking, but that's like you good looking, but you know what? Your sister is fine as hell though.
Okay,
That's
once
exactly
again.
what that sounds like.
Well, again, let's stop and just check what I said again, right? Ivory actually would have
I'm
said
not gonna
on
know.
the
We're not
level.
going back to that because that's an hour and a half,
It's
bro.
not about the players. It's about the coach. The coach is what I'm saying. I said even if we switch out and go back to PG, healthy PG, I'm saying all of that talent, all the performance, all the improvement. Our Achilles heel is the predictability of our very stagnant offensive schemes, and that's where after Series 1 and maybe Series 2, a really good coach like some guy named maybe Spoelstra, and now who does Milwaukee have now? And so another year under his belt in Boston, I think. And then who's Atlanta have? I'm just saying. Oh, Cleveland, wait a second. Oh, there's some coaches out there. They will figure it out because we're watching it as fans who are not elite NBA coaches. And I'm telling you, none of you
Right.
do
But
any
so
of you
what,
deny that
so
it's not predictable.
so
Any of
was
you deny
Tibbs
it's not predictable.
was Tibbs figured out, or did we not have a healthy roster?
See, now that's a great question in some way, but I think
We didn't have a
he
healthy
wasn't.
roster. I'm gonna answer that quick because I'm not
Or was it
gonna
both?
take long.
Or was it both?
It's a combination of both, but I think with a proper defensive scheme, we can be stopped. We could be stopped. I don't think we're going to be Denver. I just had no belief that we could be Denver.
Beat him
I
two
told you, I'm a
times
Knicks
during the regular
fan.
season.
I've been a Knicks fan.
Jokic didn't play one of those games.
All right, fine. Kill my dreams, brother. No,
Okay,
I'm just looking at Randle and Brunson, and I see two guys who can perform as well as any two guys on any team in the league. And then I see our third guy being either IQ or RJ. I see on any given night, one of those two can perform as good as any three on any team. And I think I think we're a pretty damn good team. I think we're a pretty damn good team.
okay, so let's do Randle and Brunson. I throw against them Tatum and Jalen, right? And Brown. I'm sorry, Brown and Tatum. Let's say that's a wash. Both of them as good as they could perform at their best. Those two, is that a wash? Is possible a wash if they both perform at their top?
Sure, why not?
Okay, let's call that. Next, we'll go to KP.
Right.
Against RJ.
On any given, here's the thing: KP was the man in Washington. Do you think he's going to average 25 points a game on Boston? I don't
No,
think
that's
so.
what I'm saying. It's going to be
So I
Brunson
think
and
he'll
Brunson
be.
and
I
Hart.
think if he's efficient, he'll be right around an RJ level. If RJ plays like he did in his second year, he'll
But it's
average
all around
18.
game, defensive and offensive game, and passing. Which one are you giving the edge to?
Hey, Wiz,
Which-
just real quick. The Knicks were 11th in the NBA in scoring this past season. The Knicks were 12th in shot attempts this past season. And basically what I'm getting at is the Knicks don't have a problem getting shots, right? The Knicks have a problem with others outside of Randle and Brunson being consistent and efficient scorers. The shots are there to be had. I mean, think, man, RJ Barrett took like
19
7.
shots a game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that Tibbs can't get them shots. At the end of the day, RJ Barrett took like 18 whatever shots, how many shots?
It was like 16.
So, or yeah, whatever. Yeah, 16 shots a game, right?
That's still a lot, though.
But and he only made like 42% of them from a small forward. Right? That's not a Tibbs issue. I understand what you're saying, though. You're saying in the playoffs, can Tom Thibodeau hold his own against another quality NBA coach? We haven't seen that yet. That question is still out there. We don't know. It's trending. It's trending towards no. Right, but
And that's a valid question.
But the thing is we can't change coaches for the playoffs. If he coaches us for the regular season, bro, that's the coach we got to go in the playoffs with.
Right, and we also don't know if those defensive schemes or his offense was as bad as we think it was because like we said, we didn't have the healthy personnel out there. We only had one point guard. Quickly was hurt. So the team wasn't exactly. We were missing one of our best.
I'll say this. I'll say that to that point. In the first series, the Cavs are an elite defensive team, and they held us down even though we were relatively healthy.
Yeah,
like our offense is pretty predictable. Like what's going to happen. It's just a matter of us executing or not because we're going to force mismatches. We're going to force double teams.
Yeah, you won't hear me defend. Yeah, you won't hear me defend Tibbs' offense. Well, all I'm saying is, would we be as down on Tibbs' offense had we had a healthy roster and we were able to play our game? Would we have played better or played to a level where maybe we wouldn't be as down on his offense? I'm not exactly high on it. I'm just saying I'm wondering if I have a negative attitude based upon the fact that, hey, we just couldn't execute and we looked terrible out there. It just looked like a lot of one-on-one. It just didn't look like good basketball. But I'm wondering, did it look that bad because we didn't have our guys out there, or is it just that offense or a little bit of both?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. In my mind, like we needed IQ to be IQ, but even to that point, he wasn't IQ even when he was healthy. Well, he didn't play to his regular season standard. Some of that is definitely on the player, and some of it is just you got to make the lives of the player easier. Like IQ was trying to live off of isolation basketball, and he's not as good as Brunson is. So that's why it just didn't work in the postseason. And to that point, Brunson's first time in the postseason, he played so bad he had to get benched.
Yeah. But that benching made him better.
Exactly. It made him better. So, like, maybe IQ comes back and he performs at an even higher level the next time he's in the postseason. It's just he just wasn't apt for it yet, and his skill set didn't lend for him to be that guy when the stakes are highest, when the pressure is even higher, when he's seeing multiple bodies every time he tries to run a pick and roll, and he doesn't have that type of handle that Brunson has, where it's on a string and he can get to wherever he needs to get to and get to his spots. It just was awkward for him.
It was terrible. It was,
and when the leverage is like when it's high leverage basketball, especially when you're going against, you got to remember we went against two of the best defensive teams in all of the NBA last year. So they know all his tendencies, they know all his spots, they know how he likes to play. They know how he likes to run two-man game. They know how he likes to relocate after giving the ball to a big. When you have all of these things and you don't have that X factor trait where you can just get a bucket at any given time, like Brunson is, it becomes harder. Like you gotta, I commend like the whole superstar thing. The postseason shows that Brunson is a superstar because no matter what kind of coverage you throw at him, he will find a way to dig in the cracks, in the gaps, find a hole, get a shot off, and make said shot and be efficient at it. Not very many players can do that.
So you
And
guys
that's
just
that's
Brunson
kind of value Brunson. Like he's
as a
he's an upper
number
echelon isolation player. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Dre, you think Brunson can lead a team to a chip as a number one?
Yes.
I don't know if he. It's tough.
I think he could.
I think he
definitely
could. I think he could if no. I think he could if he has the correct supporting cast, like guys that
Right.
hide his weaknesses in terms of defense.
And that goes for
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
for
goes
sure.
for all
Like
Thank
you
you.
can say
Thank you.
that.
I'm glad y'all said everybody.
You can say that for Steph Curry for sure. So
So our number two, then we got to look at number two. Is Randle the number two that can take us to the chip with Brunson number one?
I think the general consensus outside of like Knicks
Hell
fandom
yeah.
is,
Period.
I think the general
Yes,
consensus
yeah.
outside of Knicks fandom is he can be a number two. It's just people don't know if Brunson is the number one for the title to make Randle that number two outright.
Mm.
If Brunson ascends to that top 10 NBA player type level, where Randle has no choice but to concede.
I would have to say that I don't. I would have to say that the jury is still out on whether or not Randle could be that number two guy because only because we just haven't seen him perform in the playoffs yet, and it's only been twice, and he was hurt once, so it's not like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not very much to go
Again,
off.
but again, the first time he did it, his supporting cast was Derrick Rose,
Well-
Alfred Payton, Alec Burks, and Nerlens Noel. And the second
Say it
time
again, please.
his supporting cast was Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, Hartenstein.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold this pass run on
I
Randle.
mean, yeah.
I will say even though
Dre, let me finish
Okay,
my
my
point.
fault.
My point is
yeah,
my point is this. Regardless of I'm just going to give you an example. Michael Jordan has a losing overall record without Scottie Pippen. That's a fact. Michael Jordan has never won a playoff series without Scottie Pippen. That's a fact. The reason why I bring that up is regardless how good the top of your roster is, if you don't have help, you're not going to win in this league, period. It's just what it is. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won multiple league MVPs in the 70s with the Lakers and had 0 championships. Magic Johnson shows up, that man starts winning championships with the Lakers. Right? The fact remains is that it's as simple as Julius Randle on an improved roster may be able to do anything, but you don't know if he can or not because you've seen Julius Randle, for the most part, on a bunch of rebuilding rosters. So the narrative is he can't take a rebuilding roster to a championship. But what happens if you improve that roster and give him better role players? Can Julius Randle do it? We don't know because we haven't seen it. And it's not fair to say no. It's not fair to say no when the body of evidence includes names like Alfred Payton, Nerlens Noel, Norvell Pell, and Reggie. It's not fair.
I'll say this though, Freezie. That first series, however bad it was, he had legitimately in an individual performance. Like if you're considering someone a top tier player, he had legitimately one of the worst, if not the worst, individual performance. Regardless of trash talent around you or not, if you're viewed as an All NBA player, you can't shoot sub 30% for a series. I don't care who's out there with you as an all NBA talent. You can't do
Right.
that.
Right.
And you can see Freezie, you could say Michael Jordan didn't win all these things.
I can say it because it's true.
It's true.
It's a fact.
It is true, but his individual performance was not that of a bum.
Who called Michael Jordan a bum?
Nobody. I'm saying it was not nearly that of a bum. And
did you hear me call Michael Jordan a bum?
No, but I'm saying the
Lee,
performance
did you hear me call
that
Michael Jordan a
Randle.
bum?
The performance.
No, but I'm gonna tell you what I did. I'm gonna tell you what I did hear though. I'm gonna tell you what I heard, Dre.
Yeah.
Man, go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say, like, he performed historically bad, and you got to do a lot to shake off that. And I'm not gonna hold this season against him because clearly he was not healthy. I want to see what he does next year, but I'm not sure he's the guy. I think this is how I view Randle. He's the guy that will keep you afloat through quarters 1 through 3 and halfway through the fourth quarter. But ultimately, he's a power forward, and he needs a guard to take him home. That's it. That's not my indictment on him. That's not even a negative on him. That's just what he is. He's not the guy that's going to close out a game. I don't think that's in him. And that's okay. That's fine. We can get other guys to do that. You can't replace the other things that he does. The 25 over the course of a game, the 10 rebounds, the 4 or 5 assists. You can't replace that. But the closing aspect, like the high leverage and like being the focus of a team when you're going down these high leverage minutes, these last 6-7 minutes, he's just not that guy.
Well, I don't trust him to be the decision maker in that, but I trust him enough that if he's gonna, I trust him enough to catch and shoot, make a shot. But as
be a finisher.
As the number one, Brunson would probably have that responsibility to be that late quarter guy. But I just don't want Julius trying to make decisions with the ball, But I think he can.
I think y'all looking at this flawed, bro. I think y'all looking at this way wrong.
Thank you.
Y'all are looking at this entirely. Y'all are looking at this like the Kobe Bryant dream scenario thing. Listen, man. At the end of a game, under 6 minutes, every shot is not going to be an ISO off the wing where a dude brings out his best moves. That's not the only scoring that's going to happen in a game. Give you an example. Jalen Brunson puts up a shot and Julius Randle gets the rebound under the rim. Should he start looking back for Jalen Brunson again? No. Julius Randle finishing traffic. Can he be impactful? The impact is the thing that we're looking for. It's not totally Kobe Bryant doing fancy footwork off the mid-range from 14 feet, fade away over 2 defenders for a bucket. It's not always going to be that way, bro. You get the ball in the hoop the best way you can. Can Julius Randle be impactful down the stretch of games? Yes. Does every NBA player need help to close down the stretch of games? Yes. And if you say no, then I point back to all you Knicks fans that said Carmelo Anthony didn't have help. We wasted Carmelo Anthony's prime.
But Freezie, I can literally give you the numbers of him compared to his contemporaries in quote unquote clutch time minutes.
Right.
And in the normal minutes, his true shooting numbers are pretty good. He's like,
who are his contemporaries?
I give you top 25, top 25 guys in terms of points per game this last season.
Those are not his
Brandon Ingram's. Who are his contemporaries? Jason Tatum's?
No. His contemporaries, like
all NBA players.
No.
Power forward.
Power. Thank you, Lee. Thank you. His contemporaries are power forwards that average 25 points a game. Where are they?
Okay, Giannis, Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
And but when you look up him,
Let me
finish. When you look up,
on your dance right now, bro.
Yeah, you moving the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalposts.
You're
Let
trying
me finish.
to compare Julius Randle to ISO scoring machines. The Jason Tatum.
Are we not using him as an ISO scoring machine?
The 80s.
I think one part of this that you have to add
But
in
we're
there is when
using
people-
him as that. So
when
if
people say
he's not that,
second-
then we don't use him as that.
when people
But we
say
do use
second
him as
option,
that.
they are when people say second option, they are referring to, okay, if your main guy is being double teamed, do you have another guy who's able to go out there, do the one-on-one thing, and get his own shot and get a good shot? I think
Yeah, my fault.
we've just seen good and bad when it comes to that. When it comes to Randle, that's all.
Like the way you're viewing it, you want to put a title on it, like his position, but he, for better or worse, Freezie, from his shot profile to his usage to where he gets the ball on the floor to where he scores. He scores, his shot diet is that, and shot profile is that of a wing scorer. We use him as a wing scorer. He can be a power forward. He can be a big bruiser, right? He could be a 260 power forward, right? But ultimately, if we're going to use him as a wing scorer, he's going to be compared to guys that score in the same ways that he's being used to score. We ask him to get buckets in the mid-range. We ask him to do self-creation, isolation threes. We ask him to attack guys in one-on-one. Like, if we ask him to do these things, then it's not my fault he gets compared to these guys. Then we shouldn't ask him to do these things because he's doing these things that are that you want from your wing player.
That's not what we talked about. You said power forward, bro.
But he is a power forward, but we don't use him as such. I know he's a power forward, but we use him as an all around do it all wing. That's how we use him on offense, and that's patently true for Freezie if you watch him play.
Here's the thing: if Randle had performed the way he did in the regular season, if he had performed that way in the playoffs, we wouldn't even be questioning whether or not he could be a number 2 or anything like that. I mean, he would just be considered that.
Moving down this conversation.
Yeah, we would.
I think he can be the number 2. I just think he needs somebody to lean on, like a lot of players do. It's not an indictment on him.
But this is. I understand what you're saying is reasonable. What I'm saying is I'm just following the categorizing. Like when you say he's a power forward, I'm just comparing him in my mind to power forwards, right? But when you say he's a wing player, then I'm like, okay, if he's a wing player, he's a wing player, right?
But there's overlap in today's NBA. Like wing players are power forward. Well, positionally.
But I don't care about that. What I care about is what your comparison is, because I know that I know basketball, bro.
Oh yeah,
I watch.
Well, that's not for you. That's for the audience. I know you know.
What I'm saying is in your comparison when you make the points. If it's a power forward discussion, then who are his contemporaries in that power forward range that you're mentioning, so that we can do a comparison,
well,
right?
Then,
and are they as impactful as Julius Randle?
I'll say this. Does Giannis play? Does Giannis play traditional power forward, as in like power forwards of the 90s and 80s? Like how he plays?
I don't know what Giannis is. Giannis is a freak.
And a Greek
one at that.
But we call him a power forward. This is what I mean, because like I think he is I know Julius Randle's a power forward because his size, he's polarizing, he's big, he's 6'9". But the way he plays is not that of power forwards of the 90s and 80s. The only power forward that skill set you could compare him to is Charles Barkley, and that is a big stretch. But in terms of scoring from 3 levels, bringing the ball up, getting rebounds, averaging high 20s, that's the only really one from that era, and that skill set is what made Charles Barkley special, because he was scoring from all over the court while being a 6'6", 6'5" power forward, grabbing rebounds and being physically imposing and being an unstoppable threat. But when you're doing all these things, that makes you a unicorn in that particular skill set. So, like, if Charles Barkley came up in this era, Freezie, would he be playing? He would just be called the wing. As freakish as he is, he would just be on offense. He would just be an offensive wing in terms of his skill set on offense. Now, on defense, who you check, I think the factors more in terms of what they recognize you as your position. Like they put Randle as a 4 because he guards like big wings and smaller bigs. But if Randle could guard 3s and 2s, they'd probably just call him a wing. But because his skill set is that of a wing, to be absolutely honest. His offensive skill set is a wing's offensive skill set. He's very skilled. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle when we talk about categorizing guys as this, that, and the third. Like, when Randle gets the ball on in the mid post, he's expected to do the same things that Kawhi does for his team. Kawhi is better at it, for obvious reasons, and Kawhi is getting it at a different form because Kawhi is 6'8", I guess 240, 250. But what they ask of Kawhi and what we ask of Randle on offense is almost the same thing. If that makes sense to you, Freezie. So it's
wow, that's a lot to digest, bro. Real talk.
What you mean, Lee?
I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying and the way you're phrasing it. I can't compare him to Charles Barkley.
No. I'm not comparing him. I'm saying Charles Barkley is a whole different animal beast. He's different.
No,
but I'm saying
no,
the things that he does would be categorized as
far as categorized compared to his game and everything like that. See, that's a lot for me because I'm sitting here thinking like, well, Charles Barkley was a whole different animal in itself when I saw him in late, or the early '80s and the late '90s. You know what I'm saying? He was a whole totally different type of animal. You know what I'm saying? You talking about somebody who was too small, too big for a small guy to check him, and too big for somebody. You know what I'm saying? You know, or too fast for somebody bigger to check him. You know what I'm saying?
But those are the same mismatches Randle's posed to other teams on offense every night. You put a regular wing on Randle, he's bullying that wing to death. You put a big on him, he's going right around him.
All right. No, I'm not arguing with you. You're wrong, brother.
Yeah.
But my point is like I'm just trying to digest what you're telling. You gave me a lot of information right now in like the last 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm trying to digest this, but
with that unique skill set, and let's use my boy, Charles as well. Could Charles have led a team to the championship as the number one?
He did.
No.
I mean, he didn't win it, but he brought that team to the finals, that is.
But yet, Randle, we don't see Randle as being number one with a similar skill set.
And Charles Barkley was arguably the best player on the planet when he did that. So, and then he still lost. So it's hard. It's hard. Like it's just hard. Like you said, Freezie, it's hard for your enforcer to be that guy.
Right.
It's just hard to be
right. I don't think
6'8".
The thing
6'9"
is I can't see though Charles Barkley and Julius Randle. When I see Julius Randle, I see Julius Randle and Chris Webber. Because you talk Charles Barkley, for as stout as he was, and remember Tom Thibodeau coached Charles Barkley also in Philadelphia under Jim Lyman, right? Charles Barkley is still at that size at 6'6", 280, had like a 49-inch vertical, right? Charles Barkley dunked on Bill Cartwright 7 straight times on the same play, bro. Right? You know what I'm saying? Julius Randle is but I understand with the skill set though. I think Chris Webber is more skilled than Barkley. Barkley is definitely a hustle, rebounding athlete, scorer, slasher.
But he could score from 3 different levels. That's the whole thing to me. Like if you could score from 3 different levels, no matter how you get to it.
I'm not disputing that part. What I'm saying is Charles Barkley wishes he could pass like Julius Randle. When you're talking about a big that can rebound and dribble and pass, now you're talking about the Chris Webbers of the world that can pass out of the post and create passing lanes. And to be honest with you, to be honest with you, and I know this is going to sound blasphemous, I think Julius Randle, pound for pound, is a better player than Chris Webber. And the reason why I say that, and I know it's going to sound blasphemous, but if you
I don't
look
think it's blasphemous.
if you look at all the skilled players that Chris Webber played with, the Tim Hardaways, the Latrell Sprewells, the Stojakovic's, the Vladis, the Mike Bibby's, and then you compare it to Randle, who played with Alfred Payton and Reggie Bullock and Wayne Ellington. I don't even think it's even close, right? I know it sounds blasphemous, right? It's and it probably is blasphemous, but what I'm saying
I don't think they're too far off, Freezie.
The guy that I think Randle, to his credit, does more with less than the greats who may have done less with more. Right? The reason why I say Webber may have done less with more is because he had to give up the ball. He had to give it up to Tim Hardaway. He had to give up the ball to Chris Mullin. He had to give up the ball to Latrell Sprewell and get out the way sometimes. You know what I'm saying? His usage may not have been as much as it should have been for a guy as great a player as great as Chris Webber, right? But Randle, always in these odd situations of he's setting screen. Bro, there was a play in Atlanta. We had, this is like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. 4 years ago. We had an 8-point lead against Atlanta in Atlanta. And Fizdale said to Randle and RJ, we're going to finish the game with Ellington and Bullock. People forget Wayne Ellington used to be a Knick. Right? Ivory, you remember Wayne Ellington when Wayne Ellington was here?
Of course. All you
Great Tar Heel.
Shooting threes.
Right. Wayne Ellington and Reggie Bullock lost us an 8-point lead with 90 seconds to go. We get into overtime, right? You know what they got Julius Randle and RJ Barrett to do in the overtime? Julius Randle was the role man for a Wayne Ellington Randle pick and roll where Randle never touched the basketball, and they were waving RJ Barrett to the other side of the floor. So Wayne Ellington, Alfred Payton, and Reggie Bullock can finish out the game. That's why when I hear people say,
repeat that again because folks don't really get that, yo. They hear you, but they have.
I was gonna say, Freezie, I think we don't do enough to make Randle's life easier.
No, we do not.
From not even just a roster standpoint, just philosophically and in offense, we try to grind teams into dust.
Right. Everything is so difficult. And Ivory, to your point, when you were making a point about Grimes, I think you were making an excellent point. My thing is I would invert it though. You know who I would have set the screen?
Oh,
RJ Barrett. I would have RJ Barrett set a screen, and for this reason. Just because you set the screen doesn't mean you have to be a Tyson Chandler type finisher at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't have to be that. Because all that matter is the 2 points. It doesn't matter if you throw up a floater and get the 2, or if you dunk it on 5 people and get the 2. Right? The thing is when Draymond Green is the role man, you know Draymond Green is not finishing in traffic. Draymond Green is about maybe 15 pounds heavier than RJ Barrett. They're about the same height, the same athleticism, right? Draymond Green is not finishing at the rim, but what Draymond does, though, is he threatens the rim, make the defense commits, and then he kicks to an open shooter.
He's a conduit player.
Can RJ Barrett do that?
Connector.
Right? Yeah, if we ask RJ to do some of these things, like if we want to think basketball, let's think basketball on a grand scale. If we simply look at as Knicks fans, or as a host that reads a lot of Knicks fans' comments and sit back and listen to a lot of Knicks fans' comment, I listen to a lot of Knicks fans mention all the splashy plays that they've seen What Knicks fans don't do is mention all the basically successful plays that they've seen. Knicks fans get away from the fundamentals of basketball, thinking about the splashy play. Oh, did you see that corner, the three out the corner off 1 foot? How about RJ Barrett rolling to the basket, seeing Mitch in a dunker spot, and just throwing Mitch a pass to his face where he can catch it so that Mitch can dunk? Can we do basic stuff like that?
I love it. And I love RJ in that spot. What I was thinking of is if there was a way, we were talking about how can you get Grimes involved more? How do we utilize his skill set more? And what I was saying, if we made him that picker, if we made him the guy that sets the pick, if his man goes to try and double team Brunson, then who better to pick and pop? I'm not even talking about pick and roll. I don't even want to see him roll. I want to see him pick and pop. Because if he's wide open for that J, I want him to take it. If they pick him up, I know he has the ability to go around and also make the pass either to Mitch or to somebody open for a three. I think he's possibly more capable in that spot of receiving the ball and more capable of being successful in that spot.
Why would you want him to pop when he can roll and hit a wide open Grimes after he drew in a defense?
Because first of all, Brunson hasn't shown quite the ability to really throw that pass, that roll pass. He can hit.
But we're not talking about Brunson though. We were talking about Grimes and RJ.
No, I think we're talking about Grimes setting the pick or RJ setting the pick. I didn't think we were.
We're talking about Grimes ball handling, RJ setting the pick, RJ rolling to the basket, drawing in the defense, and now you have Jalen Brunson spotting up for three. And he's shooting like 48% on spot up threes.
I don't think we'll see it. I don't think we'll see it. I don't think that's Tibbs. I don't think Tibbs is going to do it.
I know Tibbs is not going to do it. I asked you though, is this something that you would that you wouldn't mind seeing as opposed to Grimes setting the pick?
You know what I don't think Grimes is great at is really handling the ball, going around a pick and then making something happen. I'm not sure I like him being the ball handler in that. I haven't seen the twitch enough to know what he could do with it. I haven't seen him do it enough, to be honest with you, to know if he could be successful doing that. So I'm just right now it's a question mark. I'm not sure if I see him coming around a pick. I think he can hit the J. I like that. I think he can drive. I like that. I just haven't seen him circumvent the defense with the dribble yet well enough to know if that's really something he could do.
So basically, you guys just came full circle back to my final conclusion that the coach, it's Tibbs. It's Tibbs. It's not the players. The players have the talent. The players have the potential. But the issue is, will this coach open up this offense enough to input those schemes that can help us maximize those players' skill sets? And so far, the answer has been no for the last 30 years. Tibbs has not done it. Now, can he do that? Will he do it? I think he can, because I've seen moments when he did it. I don't know why he can't stretch those moments into minutes and those minutes into quarters. That's all I'm asking.
So you're firing Tibbs?
I'm firing Tibbs, yes. But I mean, again, I'm keeping him for this season, though, because I don't think we're quite there yet. I think next season is where you take the step towards the championship, and I don't think he's the one to take us there. He's our Mark Jackson, unfortunately.
So who are you replacing him with?
Man,
anybody. See, the answer is always anybody.
Exactly, I was gonna say Freezie. I think Johnny is right there, waiting to let his guys loose. I mean,
what has Johnny Bryant showed you that he's a better person for the job? What has he shown you?
I think actually, from what I've heard, the players who've shared his dialogue with them sounds like he actually is more open to them utilizing their skill set in the subtle ways that they've shared how he's spoken to them.
Wiz, with all due respect, bro, when I go to basketball games, people walk up to me and take selfies with me, man, and keep those pictures in their phone. That does not make me Chris Brown, bro. That does not make me Chris Brown. Right. That does not make me that does not make me Justin Timberlake, bro. You know what I'm saying? But in all due respect, the speculation that Johnny Bryant is going to be better is just like saying, I don't care who replaces Tibbs. I just want another guy. Dre, does that sound? Is that right, Dre? That's what it sounds like.
No,
right?
So the aspect of the modern NBA flexibility of, because I think he's going to play a Tibbs scheme, but be more open to more creativity because of his youth and the fact he grew up in a different era than Tibbs, and he's not stubborn. I think that's the niche. I think he's learned enough from Tibbs.
We don't know that.
He can apply a Tibbs defensive mentality and overall culture, but that extra twist of I've seen the modern NBA and I'm open to trying these things that this team needs.
No other NBA team respects Tom Thibodeau or his coaching staff. Think about this: with all the NBA coaches that have gotten fired and all the NBA coaches that have gotten hired, how many of those coaches come off of Tom Thibodeau's coaching staff?
Wow. Wow.
How many have interviewed? How about Dice Yoshimoto? Has he interviewed for a head coaching job? What about Rick Brunson?
That's an indictment on Tibbs, then, right?
No, that's an indictment on your argument, thinking that if you fire Tibbs, Johnny Bryant is going to fill in and be better.
Well, I said John because it was the first name available to me that I could come up with that I think can actually be but the better because actually here's why I'm saying better, because I think he will maintain the Tibbs culture and defensive mentality, but because of again, I think the twist of the is that one small twist that you guys have been talking for the last 20 minutes about is trying to do small little things like have RJ Grimes pick and roll, pick and pop, or just a subtle little thing as having player movement with ball movement. And so those little things, I think Bryant will maintain the Tibbs mentorship. Hopefully he's actually in the front office and sitting there behind the bench, sitting, or maybe he's up inside, sitting in the suite somewhere with Dolan. But he's going to be there where he's still going to be influencing Bryant based on what the team is right now. So the team won't change except one subtle twist. And I think that's all we take, that small little twist, not a giant overall transformation. And sitting behind Tibbs for the last 3 years, he's going to go, I see what he's doing. I'm going to keep it. However, offensively, let's try this. RJ pick and roll with Grimes. Let's just try it. Oh, let's try some, let's not have guys sit in the corner there like he did with Obi doing 3-point shots for a guy so athletic.
Wiz, does Tibbs have to win it all for you to think that his style is good enough?
Yes. He has to win.
Yes.
No, he has to win. He has to win 2. He has to win 2.
I could have answered that question, Ivory.
It's like Eli Manning. I'm a Giants fan, but Eli needed to win 2 rings for me to finally give him some credit. Because I think Eli was an average quarterback.
You got a Giants fan.
So trash, bro.
Eli was an average.
Don't start this. Don't start this again, please. We spent all morning going through this.
The Giants are so trash.
You got to pull us back to basketball. Remember, you got to pull us back to basketball, Ivory.
Hey, Ivory, don't even talk about the Giants again.
I know.
Yeah, but basically, I think Tibbs is the Mets. I think Tibbs is like the Mets.
Well, why are we bringing the Mets into this?
What's he talking about? We supposed to be talking about basketball.
The Tibbs makes it to the playoffs damn near every year. The Mets don't do that.
But the Mets had the promise, the hope, and you were like optimistic, and you thought, oh yeah, we have a chance. And then the reality sets in. Like I said, remember Freezie my song?
Reality? What reality? Your reality or
my reality? Because
bring it back with this question for Wiz. Wiz, so you mentioned a third superstar. You think a third superstar overcomes Tibbs' inability to get us to the end zone?
No, unfortunately. That's why was your question was improvement.
I think it would.
Performance level of the guys who are currently there. I think even switching out RJ and Grimes taking a step and Randle performing in the playoffs will be equivalent to switching those two guys out and bringing in PG-13 type healthy to the playoff because the downfall will be that the third series, watching tapes on them for the first two series, and ECF will be the wake-up call for that team with a good coach going, I see you. I see what they're going to be doing here and there. How am I going to destroy their scheme offensively? Can it be stopped? And I think any predictable offense without two or more elite players that just simply dominates, which means I'm talking about like the Jordan, Pippen type combo, and
Kobe
then
Shaq.
a Kobe Shaq. If you don't have that, then any one of them can be stopped by a good coach applying the proper scheme with the right athletes. And I think a team like Boston has the athletes to do it. I think a team like Cleveland will have the athletes to do it as soon as they grow older. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Knicks in that. I don't think the coaches may not be right for Cleveland or with Boston right now, but
Their
they
coach is
have the
not that good.
athletes. If the coach can be properly applying those techniques and watch what they're doing and go, I can stop that. I can stop that. And I don't need double team. Oh, maybe I can force the ball to Mitch every time.
I don't think you were listening what IKBM Dre said. IKBM Dre said that Eric Spoelstra basically took Jimmy Butler and a bunch of dudes, and they made the NBA Finals. Is that accurate, Dre? Am I summarizing correctly, or
I mean, relatively, you gotta remember they were the 7th seed for like a reason.
right?
They weren't that good for a reason.
Right.
That level of overachieving in the playoffs is something that only the elite of the elite can do in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, overachieving in the regular season, lots of coaches have done that.
Yep.
But when it comes
Tibbs
down
has done
to
that twice.
yeah, when it comes down to the brass
Exactly.
tacks and going against like a tactician, he falls flat. That's not an indictment on Tibbs. It's just like we're talking about Hall of Fame coaches. Is it bad that he's failing against Hall of Fame coaches? Maybe. Maybe, I guess.
It's an Achilles heel.
For us, it's a bad thing.
Yes. It's his Achilles heel. And Tibbs, I think, is just like the front office, is that, again, like you mentioned, risk averse, the fear of failure. I think that he doesn't want to try new things because if it doesn't work, it's going to be like, oh, man, it's over. Career over. Coaching is over.
Can I pivot to something else real quick? I saw a quote tonight from Quentin Grimes.
Say it again.
I saw a quote tonight from Quentin Grimes about Julius Randle. You mind if I share, or if you want to post the Freezie? It's a tweet.
I don't care.
I'll just say it. It's a quote. Quentin Grimes on Julius Randle. I think there's a narrative around him, which is total bullshit. Honestly, he cares a lot about this team. He does everything he can possible to do to make his body right, to make sure he's in the best shape possible, to make sure he can give it all. So that's my dog. It just shows how much he wants to win. And I think that was a quote that I guess he was at the Team USA Select. I guess that was a quote that was given about.
So somebody asked him about Randle then.
Yep.
Because he wouldn't just voluntarily say something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's not who he is. Grimes ain't just gonna, you know what I'm saying, just spot. He ain't Josh Hart, bro. You know what I'm saying? He ain't you're not Josh Hart show up. See Josh Hart show up to a press conference with a pizza delivery box. You know what I'm saying?
And run his mouth.
Yeah. So Grimes is not that. So somebody
probably
asked him about Randle.
Ian Begley was there at at the practices, I believe. He was just jogging some questions about the Knicks. He asked Josh Hart a few things. And another thing, there's some quotes from Randle from a few days ago. Randle was at I remember, LeBron has his barbershop show, right?
Right.
They had like a little tour, and they were in Brooklyn, and they had a show there, a live show, and they had Maverick Carter there, and Julius was there, and he gave some quotes about how he's taking his off season, healing up, and I wanted to share a couple of the quotes with you guys. It was from Stephon Bondi, but he said during his recovery, he drew inspiration from his teammate Jalen Brunson, hoping he'll learn from his accomplished opponents. And the quote from Julius Randle: "I've studied a lot of people. I studied LeBron and watched how he used angles," said Randle, who was joined by rappers Method Man and Joey Badass as guests on The Shop, which was taped live in Brooklyn. One of the biggest people that pushed me was my teammate Jalen, because I saw how he worked, and I'm a worker, and I saw how diligent he was and focused. So JB pushed me. I watched Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. All of these guys, we're all copycats at the end of the day. We learned the game from somebody. And he also said after that, Randall noticed, as noted Wednesday, expectations are now elevated. And then quote from Randall: "It's always going to be unfinished business," he said. "So we made it to the second round. We have aspirations for obviously bigger and better things. We want to win a championship at the end of the day." Randall's championship reference drew applause from the crowd in Brooklyn and a joke from host Maverick Carter about making declarative headlines. Randall was careful to clarify, "I said we want to win a championship, not that we're going to. After all, there's enough pressure playing for the New York Knicks." And
Is Randall going to be healthy at the start of the season?
Yeah, he's out of his cast. He's full, like he's been training like his normal off-season regimen.
Yeah,
like he's been out of the cast.
All right.
I honestly believe it doesn't take long for him to get back in shape at all.
It took 8 weeks, so he got it done. He got an 8-week thing in May, and so he would have been ready in early July.
Yeah, I was gonna let me finish the rest of the article. I missed the part from earlier in the article. I'll come back to it. Okay, this is what he said. Oh yeah, a relaxed Julius Randle, no longer wearing a cast from his ankle surgery, predicted next season as the best of his career because of a confluence of most important basketball attributes. And then here's the quote from Julius Randle: "Me and my trainer were just talking about this. We were talking about prime years," Randle said. Wednesday, as a guest on The Shop, interrupted, and I feel, or as a guest on The Shop, and I feel like your prime is when your mental and physical kind of meet. And physically, I feel like this is going to be my best year, but mentally, I feel like I've taken a tremendous step because I've had to slow all the way down. I wasn't allowed to train." Randle, age 28, underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left ankle 2 months ago. The procedure followed 2 sprains on the same ankle in a short span and a disappointing performance in the playoffs. The ending left a bad taste after a strong regular season from Randle, who became just the second Knick since Allen Houston to earn 2 All-Star appearances. And that was the rest of it. I don't know how you take that, Freezie, but yeah. I think, he's in smack dab in the middle of his prime. I think he is primed to have his best season. He may not have averaged the most points per game, but I think he's going to have his most efficient season. I think his turnover assist ratio is going to be pretty good too, amongst other things. It's just, I just wanted to see what y'all takes were on that.
So what y'all think about that?
Me, personally, I feel like we need to strike while the moment's hot, while the iron's hot.
What does that mean?
In terms of a trade?
What does that do? No, not trade. I not think we need to maximize the most of what we have on this current team that we got. You know what I'm saying? Let's go as far as we got. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know me, I'm not pro trade, jump out the window. I'm not all that. I'm not with all that. I'm just saying we gotta get the most out of this young man while we have him. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not if it's not this season, then definitely next year. And I mean that you all want to jump out the window and make that move go ahead with it. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm just saying strike while the iron's hot. That's what my uncle used to say, and I ride with
Mm. Oh
What you
well,
think,
just
Wiz?
saying. Yeah. What is that? Think Wiz
Oh
is not
boy,
here
Wiz
at the
doing
moment.
push-ups.
him.
Is that what the
Even
Marines
have
do
my
at all times? They just
nah,
know how to do
he
push-ups.
need to be he need to be on a 3,000 mile ride bringing my curry goat
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
with the gravy over the rice.
Marines spell push-ups USMC. That's how y'all spell push-ups, right?
That's funny, man. Yes, we do. We
They
can't spell
spell
actually. We don't. We don't spell, man.
right.
We
They
just.
don't
We
spell,
just.
they smell.
Exactly. We just do one thing. We
We
charge ahead.
Look,
Um,
drive
I think
home.
Randall said
God bless y'all.
he's saying all the right things in this
Yeah.
particular interview. I think in the interview with Paul George, he sounded completely out of touch. Completely out of touch. He talked about guys,
Wow.
the way guys play and playing the way they talk, and guys trying to tell you to hustle, but then they don't hustle themselves. Guys that want to be leaders, but they don't act like leaders. He sounded completely unaware. And it also told me that no one on the bench is talking to him either, because no one is telling him that he's acting exactly like what he's explaining. So
Mm.
there's obviously something missing with Randall. Not in this interview. Everything he said there was politically correct. It was nice, whatever, it's professional. But when you really hear him speak his mind off the cuff like he was during that Paul George interview, you hear a man that is completely and utterly out of touch, unaware of the
Wow.
surroundings, no idea.
No, hold on a second. Ivory, now I gotta come back with you. I gotta come back with you on that one. And I
Please.
like you. You one of my favorite guys. You're one of my favorite. Dude, you really feel that way about that young man? I'm seriously. I'm giving a chance to sit back and rethink what you just said. And do you feel like he's totally out of touch?
Did you see the interview, or did you happen to hear the interview with Paul George at all? Did you? Did you?
Oh no, bro. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Because you turn your camera, I'll turn on mine. Yes. I totally sat there and watched that. You know what I'm saying? I take excerpts and quotes off of that. I listened to what he said. I broke it down and listened to every word that he said.
You didn't hear
And to me,
anything hypocritical at all during that interview?
I mean, come on. Anybody's a projection of themselves. There's gonna be some hypocrites.
He was the one who brought up being a leader. He was the one who brought up, I hate
Exactly.
when guys do this and then they act like that on the court and blah blah blah. He did it himself.
Exactly.
He the biggest knocks he gets are because of that exact attitude and that behavior. That's the only knock
Look,
anyone has on Julius, other than the I forgot, what did someone call the Tasmanian Devil spin move where he loses the ball. I forgot who that was.
but all right, my brother. But let me ask you this question: do you think that he was not sitting there checking himself as well?
No, definitely not. When you heard him talking, he was like saying it in such a disgusting way. He even says, I hate that, man. I hate that when guys do that. He was literally kind of laughing at it and saying it in he was relatively passionate about talking about how guys talk the game and don't play it the same way. And yeah, we know he plays
Right.
hard, but we also know that he has moments where he doesn't play defense. We also know where he has moments where he's a terrible, terrible teammate. And for him to sit there and talk about other guys that do that just seemed utterly hypocritical. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It just sounded like a guy completely unaware and completely a guy who completely forgot the conversation he had with coaches the year before when they asked him, hey, would you want to play with a guy like you? And he said no. So how could he sit there pointing fingers when he was a guy who himself said that he wouldn't want to play with? So I just think that if you're gonna point fingers, 3 come back at you. So you got to be careful when you do that. And I thought that was just a bad line.
Oh, no doubt.
Not that he was pointing at anybody. He didn't name anybody. But when he talked about that situation, I was like, he's talking about himself right now.
Right. I think Randle has good intentions. I think I do believe that in real time, in push situation, there is something that actually doesn't click. And unfortunately, I'm yet to see him actually live up to the things he said during the season regarding, how he's going to do mental. Actually, last season he did calm down more than he has in the past, which is actually kind of shocking because people still felt he did some stuff this past season, whether it's IQ stuff or not, that he did. So my only concern, Randle, I think I have no problem. It's just like Dre talked about, that I need one playoff series a healthy Randle performs at his regular season level, and that's all I want. I'm okay with the little issues.
Come on, Wiz. I thought you was gonna say, "Give me one margarita, bro." You know what I'm saying? I think that's what you was gonna say about Randle and them. How about the Knicks winning championships? Can we not focus on a singular person's impact or lack thereof in a playoff? Because what if Randle has a terrible playoffs and the Knicks win a championship?
Oh,
are we gonna complain that Randle looked bad in the playoffs?
Absolutely.
No, hell no, not for me.
Right.
But I think
what if Randle
talked about?
What if Randle looks great? What if Randle looks great and the Knicks lose in the first round?
He's as Clay. We need, if Brunson's going to be our number 1, we need our number 2 to be right there to alleviate all the pressure he's going to be on there to have him to get to the chip. ECF is possible without Randle performing well. I don't think a championship is. Just like Murray and Nikola. I think you need both of them to perform at levels. And then 2 more guys beyond that need to show up like Aaron did. I'm just saying that's where the Knicks are right now. And so we need Randle. But even if all that happens, again, I still come back to even all that happened, if Randle shows up, RJ, Grimes, IQ, we know Brunson's going to be there, Josh, Dante, iHeart. What's going to happen is
Knicks going to shock the world.
Game 6.
Knicks going to shock the world, baby.
Unless, of course, we have the first 5 guys, that 4 are performing. The first 5 guys are going to be exhausted in their 44th minute for the game, and they're going to stay there where they're going to hack a Mitch because he shouldn't be in the game with 30 seconds left, and we're up by 3 points.
The last time you saw Mitch make 3 out of 4 free throws to seal the game. The last time you saw Mitch at the line.
I know, but you know what? Just like Giannis, you see what he did was 18 or 20 or whatever his foul shots were. That crucial game.
He took 30 minutes to shoot his free throws. Right. But to answer what Dre said. Dre, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. When I hear the Julius Randle quote, and when I hear the Quentin Grimes quote, and when I watch the RJ Barrett workout video, when I watch the Grimes workout video, all that stuff is, to me, is summertime filler.
Thank you.
That's all it is to me. I don't get inspired by it. You know what I'm saying? I don't get down by it. I'm just, summertime. It's the summertime, man. That's all it is. And that's it for me. I mean, I used to, back in 2018, when I heard Frank Ntilikina grew 8 inches, I was like, oh, snap. Frank Ntilikina is 7 foot tall now.
Freezie, what was your reaction when you saw Mitchell Robinson doing crossovers and step back threes in 2019?
He looked like a pterodactyl dribbling a marble. That's what I thought.
But I tell you this, if another center is guarding Mitch out at the key, I want him to isolate. I want them to isolate Mitch on any center in the league. Any center in the league.
Like
Isolate
Joker.
Mitch. I want him to isolate Mitch. If
Well,
he's out on the perimeter,
anytime someone
isolate.
pulls up on him or guards him up from that far, he actually puts the ball on the floor. It's just most centers never go up that high.
Well, when he's doing that handoff, typically they'll be
Yeah.
like somewhere nearby with it. Maybe he ought to fake it a couple more times.
Yeah, I actually do think he needs to attempt to fake it, but I don't think we generally have normal spacing for him to fake and then go to the
Right.
rim uncontested or something.
Right. He doesn't even face the basket when he's doing that
Yeah.
nonsense, that little handle. He doesn't even look at the rim.
Salute Div X-Ray. Shout out to
We talk
Talk
Mavs in the
Mavs
building.
and the Glow Yard.
Bem. Yo,
So yeah,
man.
I'm a filler.
Yes, during the summertime, bro. I think 3 years ago I saw the thing where Trae Young was dunking and Luka Doncic was hitting like 40 consecutive threes, and I was like, they'll never do that in the regular season, bro. You know what I'm saying? There was a video. I think Dre was talking about a video where Anthony Edwards was hitting like 50 threes in a row or something crazy.
He had like 23s in a row before the video cut off.
It never happened in the regular season, bro. Never. Not even excited about it.
I think it's when you're doing that many shots, it's about the muscle memory more than. I mean, that's legitimate training. Like nobody actually hits 23s in a row in game competition. But I will say the difference between like the elite shooters and the solid shooters, out of like 100 in practice, the elite shooters will make like 95 threes legitimately, and the okay ones, like big men, will make 63s out of 100 in practice. Like I've seen high level D1 guys and some, like I've seen Andre Miller. Andre Miller wasn't a noted 3-point shooter, but I've seen him train, and you would think he was Ray Allen. Like the difference in skill level between like role players and superstars and all that, like in practice, it just doesn't compute in your mind.
Right.
Because as a human, as like a regular person that might go around and pick up, if you hit 6 or 7 shots in a row, you think you're doing something, right? You think you got a hot shot.
Right.
These dudes practice, and if they don't make 30 in a row, they feel like it's a regression, which doesn't even like make sense in my mind.
Right. Yeah, man. I was just mentioning that. No disrespect to Randle, right? But during the summertime, bro, you'll hear just about anything during the summertime, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was, I think it was 2018, right before the Kevin Knox draft. Legit, there was a Twitter conversation. A dude saw Frank Ntilikina in Westchester and said Frank was 6'8". And we talked about Frank Ntilikina being 6'8" for like 6 weeks, bro. And after that conversation, I was like, I'll never. I think State said that he saw. I forget, but anyway, it don't matter. State didn't see Frank. I think State saw like Lance Stevenson or somebody, right? Like, yo, he ready, man. Man. I ain't, man. Look, I don't care. You know when I start caring? Training camp. Training camp is when I dial all the way back in, right? Like that. That's why, like our conversations tonight, I'm like, hey man, whatever. Wiz thinks Tom Thibodeau needs to be fired in August. Okay, I'll listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Not this August, next August.
Okay.
Hey, so, before I forget, since We Talk Mavs was on, I had one question I wanted to leave him with. I wanted to see if you can get me an answer whenever you got a chance. I wanted to know, how did Dallas take the least amount of shots per game, take almost the most amount of threes per game, but also wind up taking almost the most foul shots per game? How's that possible? How is that possible?
I could tell you how.
And
But
just sum it up
yeah,
in
Oh,
one name.
great officiating.
How do you take the
no,
least amount of shots, the most threes, and also take the most foul shots? I mean, I don't know how to. For a
well,
long time during the whole season, they led those categories. I didn't know how that was happening. And
I mean, I can explain it. Like they play a slow pace because they run a ton of isolation basketball, dominated by the ball with Luca, and Luca and Kyrie when he got there, those guys generate so many foul calls just by existing by putting pressure on defenses.
Yep.
Plus, their big men are trash, so they don't end up getting extra possessions to get more shots up because they don't get offensive rebounds. Because
right.
they're at the bottom of the league in that respect. Like if you look where the Knicks are in terms of shots, even though we have a low pace team, we're probably amongst the league leaders in shot attempts per game because we just get so many more attempts at the rim because we keep getting boards. We're at one of the best rebounding teams. So it's like a weird, funky concoction where those first two things that you named would be good if they had a solid big man. If they had a solid big man to clean up when they don't shoot well, then it'll just roll. Like they could easily win 50 plus games this year.
I'm just saying. I certainly hope they don't have an issue with the referees in Dallas. That's all I'm saying. I hope
They're
there's
good
no
with that.
problems with the referees out there. That's all I'm saying.
As long as Luka is viewed as a top 5 guy, they are good. They are good with them calls.
But they'll always be like 6th place in the West. Sorry. Well, I think Dallas. They're just too weak on their front line. Too weak.
Yeah, they don't really have.
Yeah.
This is why they drafted Derek Lively, but he might be a ways away. They got another guy up there. He's not a super big center, but he's a high energy guy. He's like 6'9". Forgot his name. Rashawn Holmes, solid player. In my opinion, he's a solid player. So I think he can help them as a stopgap center. But eventually, they're gonna want, like they've been talking about DeAndre Ayton and things of that nature. They want him badly. So eventually, DeAndre Ayton's not gonna stay a Sun after this season, in my opinion.
A son, or was it? Or wasn't?
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's on the Suns right now. It's just the Mavs want to trade for him.
Sorry, Dallas leads the league in free throw attempts per field goal attempt, but they take the least amount of twos and the most amount of threes, but they still lead the league in free throw attempts per field goal attempt. Sorry, I'm sorry.
You can look up
shooting teams don't get foul calls, right?
That's what I'm saying. How are they leading the league? They're jump shooters out there. They take all these threes. How are they getting all these calls?
But you gotta take into context. They're also one of the heaviest isolation teams. So the jump shots that they are taking are usually contested, and they're usually on guys that know how to draw fouls, like Luka.
Fact.
So Luka's probably getting fouled at the 3-point line. He's getting fouled in the mid post, taking jumpers over guys. He's getting fouled, taking floaters. He has the ball in his hands a lot. So it's one of those things where, their shot profile would dictate that, but the shots are coming from megastars. So
yeah, but look at this. But I'm just talking about, like, look at the Knicks. The Knicks, for most of the year, for a lot of the year, were in the top 5 at points in the paint. We were scoring in the paint left and right. We had Brunson, Randle was in the paint, Mitch only scores in the paint, RJ is in the paint. We did well in the paint, but we don't take a lot of free throws. I mean, we started taking, towards the end, we wound up taking a lot. We actually wound up in the top 5 in free throws attempted per game, but for a long time we weren't. I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. I just couldn't figure it out, but it all corrected itself towards the end.
Yeah, it corrected itself, but there's a learning curve. Like drawing fouls is a skill. Like You remember when DeRozan got phantom calls against us?
Yep.
Some of it is a skill and some of it is reputation. Like Brunson has to earn that reputation. RJ still has to earn it, even though he gets destroyed going to the rim 9 times out of 10. But the thing is, RJ isn't an explosive athlete. So explosive athletes just make all contact look even worse than what it is.
He don't sell fouls either. He just take it.
Yeah,
that's like
he doesn't flail. He doesn't flail. He doesn't
he's
throw
old
his
school.
arms.
He's trying to finish strong. And, he's not like flailing all over the place. And I'm really happy about this, about the calls now and how they're going to get rid of the flopping. I can't stand the flopping. I'm happy
you know how some guys drop to the paint and they get contact. They're like, "Hey!"
Screaming and yelling.
You don't hear RJ at all. The most RJ will do is stare at the ref like, I know you saw this,
and then foul somebody really hard right afterwards.
But actually, I object to I disagree. I feel like Nev. I disagree with RJ going strong to the rim. I think he goes to the rim, but not strong, and he actually tries to avoid contact. So that's probably why he doesn't get the call. I think he actually tries to, avoid. That's why he gets blocked all the time.
I think it's the opposite. I think he initiates the contact so much that they don't give him the call.
Okay.
I remember he's not vertically explosive, so it's harder. True. When you're in the air and you're getting hit in the air, it just looks worse.
Yeah,
the contact. Just looks worse.
RJ's getting hit on the ground.
So is Randle. So is Randle too. Randle doesn't get calls either.
But that's because RJ plays below the rim.
They hunt that contact. And they stopped giving that to guys. You remember when Melo was here? Melo got no calls either.
Man, Melo would get the no call, and then he would come back down on the other end and foul the mess out of
at half court. At half court, playing like the hardest man-to-man defense you ever saw at half court.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up, man. Get out of here, man. Thank y'all for rocking with us, man. Like it's been a marathon, man. And I'm tired. I think I might have to get me a solar blanket and a Gatorade after this. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Yeah, man. So tonight on Vibes and Stuff, I'm gonna do a movie review of this movie from back in the day called Juice, and I'm gonna talk about the intellectual standings of all the characters and why they said and did the things that they did. And why it's not just a just run shoot ghetto movie. Why the script is more electric than a lot of people think. So check us out tonight doing that. 718 Boys Sunday morning. Old School Knicks Sunday morning. And
we'll be likes.
Back and hit y'all hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. And thanks to everybody that was coming on and rocking with us. We out of here, y'all.